The road to the Vanier Cup runs through London, Ontario, and the hallowed ground of the Western Mustangs. They are defending champions and will host this year's title game for the first time, but they need one more win to get there. This is Running Back U.
Hillock hands it off inside. Edwards looking for the end zone to add to his spectacular day, driving the legs through traffic.
Come on.
Touchdown Mustangs.
The Western Horsemen trampled the OUA again this season. Keon Edwards led the nation with a sparkling 129 yards rushing a game. Through the air, Evan Hillock, the Vanier Cup MVP in his rookie year, cast aside any notion of a sophomore jinx. Laval quarterback Arnaud Desjardins came of age this season, filling the autumn skies with 20 touchdown passes, #1 in the country. His favorite target is Kevin Mattal, the RSEQ MVP. He burned opposing defenses with a Laval record and nation-leading 12 touchdown catches. Laval's Glenn Constantine and Western's Greg Marshall are two of the most decorated college coaches in the game. This afternoon they meet again in the 2022 Mitchell Bowl. It's the last stop on the way to the Vanier Cup as we go inside the locker rooms. Tensions on a razor trigger right now. The 2022 Mitchell Bowl from Western Alumni Stadium. The Laval Rouge taking on the host Western Mustangs in a matchup of the country's two most dominant college football programs. It's one of the coldest days this November in Southern Ontario. -2 right now, winds gusting to 30 from the south, so it feels more like -10, and flurries in the forecast. Good afternoon, I'm Mark Lee with Deshaun Stevens as the Mustangs have home field here today. They are a team with a Goliath running game that steamrolled the OUA all season.
Yeah, the Western Mustangs had the #1 rushing attack in the nation, rushing for 292 rushing yards per game, and doing it with 4 running backs in Keon Edwards, Keanu Yazbek, Edward Winati, and Troy Thompson.
Witness this game in September against Waterloo. All 4 backs got into the game, Deshaun, and they put up 401 yards.
I think it's ridiculous, but it speaks to the amount of elite depth that the Western Mustangs have. They don't just have 1 or 2 running backs that can start on any OUA team. They have 4 running backs that can start on any OUA team.
This man, Keon Edwards, keys their attack in the Yates Cup 1 week ago. He gashed Queens for 260 yards.
Yeah, and Keon Edwards was the OUA's MVP for a reason. He's the nation's leading rusher with 1,032 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns, and he has not rushed for less than 100 yards in 10 straight games.
His running mate, Edward Winati, not in the lineup for personal reasons, so this man, Keanu Yazbek, steps in, and they really don't miss a beat.
Yeah, he's a second-year kid out of Champlain, but he can start on also any OUA team. He only had 179 rushing yards this season, as well as 1 touchdown, but in the Yates Cup against Queens, he had 2 touchdowns and 70 rushing yards.
So to win this game, Laval has to stop this vaunted running attack, and that's a tall order, but they've got a middle linebacker who is awesome.
Exactly. Number 34, Alex Poirier. He was the RSEQ All-Star. He had 22 total tackles this season, as well as 2 interceptions. He might pound for pound be the best linebacker in U Sports football, but he will need to have the game of his life today to help stop that Western run game if the Laval Rouge want to get to the Vanier Cup.
Yeah, he'll have his hands full today, that's for sure. Now, Western has not faced a passing team like Laval all season. The Rouge put the ball in the air for 80% of their plays this year.
Yeah, and they're led by their quarterback, number 12, Arnaud Desjardins. He was an RSEQ All-Star. He had 2,555 passing yards, and he led the nation in passing touchdowns with 20. He completes 78% of his passes, and his #1 target, Kevin Mattal. He's showtime.
Yeah, Mattal is perhaps the best receiver in the country, and many coaches say you can't cover him with just 1 defensive back.
Yeah, he had 58 receptions this season, 751 yards, 12 touchdowns, and might I add, he was the RSEQ's MVP as a receiver. He might also be the best receiver in U Sports football. He's in a class of his own.
He got under the Mustang skin yesterday, saying they haven't faced an offense like ours all year. Perhaps Daniel Valente Jr. might be a guy who'll have to answer that call at safety. He was the leader in interceptions in the OUA this year with 5.
Yeah, and he got drafted by the Ottawa Redblacks in the 2022 CFL draft for a reason. As you said, led the nation in interceptions with 5, but he was also the OUA's Defensive Player of the Year. Look out for him as a key piece to helping stop Kevin Maital and that Rouge or passing attack.
I'm really excited about the quarterback matchup here today. 2 kids who are just in their second years. Arnaud Desjardins, he has incredible poise. He's a law student, and we've already witnessed his great numbers leading the country this year with 20 touchdown passes. And then there's Evan Hillock. A year ago, he was the Vanier Cup MVP as a rookie. He led the OUA with 16 touchdown passes this year. How about the head coaches? They're best friends and bitter rivals. And for more on them, let's go to the sidelines and welcome Victor Finley.
Today's Mitchell Bowl matchup isn't just a showdown of 2 great university football programs, but 2 legendary university football coaches as well. Glenn Constantine, head coach of Laval, against Greg Marshall, head coach of the Western Mustangs. These 2 go back years, both as rivals and friends, all the way back to 1987. And it includes 1 Mitchell Bowl meeting as well between the 2 back in 2003. At the time, Marshall was with McMaster. They fell short to Laval, who would go on to win in the Vanier Cup that season. Glenn Constantine's first as head coach of Laval. Marshall will go separate ways from his program altogether, joining the Hamilton Tiger Cats as their head coach for the next 3 years before returning to Western in 2006, where he's since gone on to encounter Constantine more than a couple times, including back-to-back meetings at the Vanier Cup in 2017 and 18. So here we are again. We'll do it for the 8th time between these 2 coaches again today. Through the first 7 meetings, it's Constantine with the upper hand. He's won 5 of them. 5 wins out of a total of 200 that make him the winningest coach in the history of U Sports football.
So a matching of minds, Marshall and Constantine here today, going back to those 2 great back-to-back Vanier Cup confrontations in 2017 when Western was victorious, in 2018 when Constantine turned the tables on Western. This may well be, Deshaun, the game of the year in U Sports football. The Mitchell Bowl featuring the great Laval Rouge, who have won more Vanier Cups than any other school in the nation with 10, and the Mustangs, who might be the hottest team in the country in the last few years, winning 2 of the last 4 Vanier Cups. The Mustangs undefeated this season, undefeated for the 4th time in the past 5 seasons. And the Rouge with but 1 loss this year to their arch rivals, the Montreal Carabins. It's a chilly day, a breezy day here in London as we look at the all-time matchup of these 2 programs. We talked about the back-to-back Vanier Cups in 2017 and 2018. Then we go back to 2010 in the UTEC Bowl, where Laval was victorious, and Laval also winning the Vanier Cup back in 2008. So the Rouge 3-1 head-to-head with the Mustangs.
And I think it's worth noting that this is going to be one of the first times that we've seen these 2 teams square off in London, Ontario, as opposed to in Quebec City.
So the Rouge will kick it off. Vincent Blanchard, the leading kicker in the RSEQ, sending the ball aloft. And the Mustangs with a short return on the play. Savon Magnier-Jones on the return. Keon Edwards is the spearhead of this powerful running attack for the Mustangs. 129 yards a game this season in the OUA to lead the nation.
And I'm going to be curious to see if the Western Mustangs look to set up the run through Edwards early, or if they look to pass the ball and get Evan Hillock comfortable against this Laval defense.
First down, Mustangs. Keon Edwards will take the ball. Oh, and a big first down yardage as he crashes very close to a first down. Felix Petit, the safety, making contact with Edwards, but there's a good look at what he can do to a defense.
Yeah, I think with Keon Edwards, you have to be able to finish your tackles. If you cannot finish your tackles, Keon Edwards will break for a big run, and that's an example of what he just did there on first down.
Alec Poirier, the middle linebacker, will be key to stop the run game for Laval on second and short, and the Mustangs will get that first down on a gain of 3 by Keon Edwards. So Edwards carrying the mail early, and he will have a very heavy workload here today as the Mustangs get their first down of the football game. They'll stay and hurry up in this opening drive at the 39-yard line of Western. They'll go to the air on first down. Hillock throwing deep down the far sideline, intended for Justin Nixon and too far. So Western mixing it up after a couple of runs for a first down. They go to the air deep down the sideline, and it's just out of reach.
And you saw Justin Nixon had a nice outside release fly on that last play, and it looks like Evan Hillock just overthrew the ball. Broken opportunity right there. Big opportunity for the Western Mustangs, but missed by Evan Hillock.
2nd and 10 from the Western 39-yard line. Play action to the air. Hillock again throwing to the sideline. It's complete for a first down. Great catch as Braden Misery goes up for the ball. So Hillock really mixing it up early.
And you look and you see right there, Greg Marshall wants to get Evan Hillock comfortable in this first quarter because he knows if the Rouge can stop that run, he's going to have to rely on the arm of Hillock to win this game. So he wants to get the second-year quarterback comfortable early.
First down Mustangs. Back to Keon Edwards on the ground, and he'll have 5, maybe 6, as he runs roughshod right up the middle into the arms of Jean-William Rouleau, that big RSEQ line all-star at defensive tackle.
Yeah, Jean-William Rouleau at defensive tackle, 3.5 sacks this year, an RSEQ all-star, along with William Quenneville, two great defensive linemen on the strong side for Laval Rouge.
2nd and 5 with Jacques showing blitz. They'll bring 5 against the run. It's Edwards, and he'll be short. Alec Poirier with some help from Tom Landry. It's a 3-yard gain, and so it'll be 3rd and 3 as Poirier finally stuffs this run game from Western.
And that's the matchup that we'll be focusing on throughout this game, Poirier versus Edwards. Like we said, if Poirier has the best game of his life and can help stop that Western run game, then the Rouge will be in a good position to have control of this Western Mustangs offense.
Poirier is 255 pounds, as big as a defensive tackle, but he moves like a defensive back. Cam Cregan to punt for Western as a 37-yard average this year, gets it away with the wind at his back. A deep punt, and Dansereau Leclerc at his own 4-yard line. He'll be stopped immediately. Riley McLeod, the middle linebacker for Western, in on the tackle. So Arnaud Desjardins, the 2nd-year starter for Laval, will go to work when we come back to Western Alumni Stadium. Glenn Constantine and his Rouge on the sidelines. Constantine has more wins in U Sports football history than any other coach, 200 and counting. This is his 22nd year at Laval. He's won 9 Vanier Cups as a head coach and now seeking his 10th. So Constantine matching minds with Greg Marshall. They're great buddies. In fact, in Quebec City last year during the Vanier Cup, when Western played against Saskatchewan, Glenn had Greg over to his mother's house for beer.
And I think it just goes to show the friendship between these two all-time great coaches. Many people look at them as bitter rivals, but the relationship is so strong.
All right, the big passing game. They'll go to play action Laval, and Kevin Mattel is wide open, and he'll step out of bounds in front of Rob Panabaker, and already gesturing at that Western bench. He's a man who likes the spotlight, and he likes to talk.
Like I said, he showed time, and I'm not surprised to see them go straight to Mattel, because that is going to be the theme of their offense today. That's been what they've lived and died by all year, so I'm not surprised to see them establish the pass with Desjardins to Mattel on that first play.
Daniel Valente Jr., the veteran and ringleader on this Western defense, which is missing 8 starters from last year's Vanier Cup. Toss is to Alex Duff outside. Duff is hit hard by Lorenz Bowers Kane. It'll be 2nd down. Panabaker, one of the veteran defensive backs alongside Valente in that secondary.
You know, Laval this year, their run game was really by committee. They had 3 different running backs rush for over 200 yards to combine for over 1,200 yards. They don't have a true #1 back, but Duff is the starter on their depth chart today.
This is a different Laval team than we've seen in past years. It used to be that they pounded the ball. They had those big offensive linemen who all went to the CFL. Second down and 4 for the Rouge. Some hesitation, but it's complete across the middle. Antoine Dansereau-Leclerc has another Rouge first down on the connection with Desjardins. But there's a look at that starting offensive alignment. A big line that gave Desjardins all kinds of protection. He only threw 4 interceptions this year to go with his 20 touchdown passes. But Metal is, there's nobody else like him, I don't think, in the country right now.
Yeah, he has more touchdown receptions than games played in his career. That says enough about who he is as a receiver.
Scored all 3 second-half touchdowns for Laval in the Dunsmore Cup in their win 25-24 last week. Duff carrying on first down. And Bowers-Kane again sticks his nose in there for Western to make the tackle. So Duff, the lead running back here today, has a gain of 3 for the Rouge.
And I like how Laval is actually trying to establish the run game. They're known as a passing team, but if they can establish the run game and help use the run to set up their pass, they'll be in good position today on offense.
It is run by committee on this Laval offense, that's for sure, with Duff, Muganda, and Mas dressing here today. Second down and about 6. Passing again, and it's caught by Frederic Antoine, who has a 12-yard gain and a first down. Antoine coming back to Laval this year after 3 years in the NCAA at Old Dominion.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about him before the game. He was actually a receiver that experienced 2 ACL injuries while at Old Dominion. He wasn't fully healthy this season, finally caught health over the first couple weeks of the playoffs, and might have a big impact in this game today.
Western secondary giving the Laval receivers a lot of respect in the early going. First down at the Laval 52. The handoff to Duff again, and he'll have 5, maybe 6 yards. And the tackle made by Bowers-Kane, playing at that field wide side Sam linebacker spot.
Yeah, and they're trying to establish the run, but I'm looking at that secondary and that D-line. They're playing a 4-3, and it looks like that secondary right now is in zone defense, something that they've seen all season long. It'll be interesting to see if they switch over to man.
Dansereau-Leclerc with another catch and another first down. A gain of 8 to the Western 45-yard line. So Desjardins picking apart this Western secondary with short passes, mixing it with the run game, trying to draw Western into that box.
And most importantly, he's not solely going to Kevin Maitel, right? He's trying to establish the pass with other receivers. Leclerc with his second reception. Now he's comfortable in the pass game, trying to see if he can spread that ball around and get other receivers involved.
First down. Rouge, the ball comes out and it hits the quarterback in the mask. It's a fumble and recovered by Bruce Moss. Oh, a mix-up on the snap. Desjardins wasn't ready for it. And Bruce Moss, who led the OUA in sacks this year, is right there to pounce on it. And a turnover on this opening offensive series by the Laval Rouge. The Mustangs will take over at the Laval 53.
A big mistake to end off what was at the moment looking like a great drive for the Rouge, but you see Desjardins was not ready. A miscommunication here between the center and Desjardins. Desjardins actually made the tackle on Bruce Moss. Bruce Moss is a big boy, so I'm surprised to see him take down that defensive end.
Bruce Moss, who grew up not too far from this stadium up in Masonville, District of London, has the first big play of this football game. Not much rattles this man, Arnaud Desjardins, the Laval quarterback, but he was clearly caught off guard on that early shotgun that hit him in the face mask and bounced right into Bruce Moss's hand. So we'll see how Laval recovers from this, and we'll see if Western can take advantage of the game's first turnover. First down at the 53. Western at the 53-yard line of the Rouge. This big offense with 10 returning starters from the Vanier Cup championship team 1 year ago, including their sophomore quarterback, Evan Hillock. He'll hand off to Keon Edwards. Edwards breaking a tackle, and he'll skid upfield for 5 on that play. Make it 2nd and 5 Western.
Not surprised to see them hand the ball off to Keon Edwards. What I wonder is how much snaps he'll take today with him being the sole back along with Keanu Yazbek.
Alex Berwick, the only new face in this big offensive line that Greg Marshall was saying might be better than the one that won the Vanier Cup with back in 2017. Edwards on 2nd and 5, and there he goes, gashing this Laval defense for a first down at the Laval 35-yard line. He's a downhill runner, and he's done this time and time again through the OUA.
Again, if you miss a tackle, you will pay. Keon Edwards made 2 people pay on that play. So the Rouge have to tighten up on defense and lock in on those tackles if they want to take down this running back. You saw Poirier make the tackle there. That's going to be the key matchup all day long.
Injured Mustang on the play. That's Spencer Nichols, their H-back, their tight end. Big man from London in his 4th season of eligibility. Provides a big role as a blocking back, and looks like he'll be able to get up on his own steam, but he needs some assistance here, limping noticeably. So right now it's been Keon Edwards, the feature running back, against the likes of William Quenville and this defensive line for Laval. Glenn Constantine saying he's a little light on the defensive line, so might that be a factor? First down, Western just inside the 36. Play action, Hillock looking downfield, he'll throw it deep. Magnier Jones in the end zone, open, touchdown. There's the connection from St. Thomas More High School in Hamilton. Hillock to Magnier Jones, their roommates and best friends.
Yeah, and you saw the switch up right there between Nixon and Magnier Jones. Takes it up the middle through the seam. And yeah, he's wide open for that touchdown, and Hillock makes a fantastic pass, puts it right in the breadbasket. A much better pass than the overthrown pass that we saw earlier to Justin Nixon. Evan Hillock did not make a mistake on this second opportunity come around.
Anton Hay, who had a big game last week in the Dunsmore Cup with an interception and 8 tackles, was absolutely burned on that play as Brian Garrity puts the extra point through the uprights, and the Mustangs make the Rouge et Or pay. A touchdown pass from Hillock to Magnier Jones. Well, there's the road to the Vanier Cup. The Saskatchewan Huskies making a return trip after defeating St. FX in a hard-fought football game, 36-19. That game was tied into the 4th quarter. So St. FX distinguishing themselves, and the Huskies awaiting the winner of this game, Laval and Western, in the Mitchell Bowl 1 week from today, right here in London at Western Alumni Stadium. The Mustangs, Deschamps taking advantage of that turnover, and it's Hillock showing that great passing arm of his. He was an 85-mile-an-hour fastball pitcher right up until grade 12 when he decided to get serious about football. You can see that kind of velocity in a lot of his passes. And there's the man who caught that touchdown pass, Savon Magnier Jones, his former high school teammate. Alex Duff back to receive this kickoff from Garrity. Duff across his 20-yard line and will be pushed out of bounds at his own 24-yard line by Jordan Murphy of the Mustangs. Looks like they're spotted at the 25. So there's Hillock. He's been a gunslinger since he took over in week 3 last year with his Mustangs down 7-0 to Laurier. And he hasn't lost a football game at all since then.
Yes, as a starter, Evan Hillock is 18-0. Including that game against Laurier, he's 19-0. So we're looking at a young man who has started his U Sports career as perfectly as possible. Has not lost a game at all.
Laval now back on offense. Another high snap. It gets away from Desjardins. He's got to go down to protect it. So back-to-back miscues from his center, Nicholas Thibodeau, a 5th-year veteran. And right away, the quarterback has got to be concerned about confidence in that center.
Yeah, you got a miscommunication on the snap on the last drive that led to the turnover from Bruce Moss. And then you got a high snap right here that almost resulted in a detrimental turnover. There's a little bit of uncertainty there with that center. Let's see if he can settle in.
Muganda, the big power back, takes the ball at full speed ahead. Bowers Kane makes the tackle with a gain of 13 for Kalenga Muganda. He's 2nd and 12 after that big 15-yard loss.
And they're already starting from behind after that fumble. hand it off to Muganda, gain some yardage. Not surprised to see that. Get back to the line of scrimmage and see if they can regain control of this drive and get back in this football game.
So a 3rd and 12 situation will force the Rouge to punt. And Lawrence Powers Kane has had a big role early going against the Laval run. Magne Jones is back to return along with Braden Masseri. Blanchard kicking from his own 15 into the wind. It's a short punt. A flag on the play. Masseri returning it for Western, but this will for sure be a no yards call. They'll tack 15 yards onto this, and again, the Mustangs will have incredible field position.
Yeah, and I think the last thing you want to do against the Western Mustangs is let them start a drive on offense with great field position. So right now, the Laval Rouge defense is already going to start with 40 yards to work with. Let's see if they could settle in, maybe stop that run. No surprise on that, no yards.
So a 13-yard return and a 15-yard penalty. That's a 28-yard swing. And it's first down Western at the Laval 40. So a short field again for the Mustangs. As Evan Hillock goes to work in the shotgun with Keon Edwards in the backfield. Hillock hands off to Edwards. Edwards is stuffed, and Poirier makes the tackle at middle linebacker for the Rouge, the 255-pound RSEQ All-Star.
Poirier and Thomas Landry were right there waiting for Keon Edwards. They came through the A-gap. They were ready for the OUA MVP, and they stopped him immediately, shutting down that run. That's what they need to do if they want to have a chance at winning this game.
2nd and 8, play action. Magne Jones on the bubble screen, and he's surrounded and taken down by Antoine Hay for little or no gain on the play. So it's 3rd and 8, and the Mustangs will punt. The ball on the 38. No, maybe they're going to send their field goal unit out. This will be about a 45-yard attempt.
You see the screen pass right there to Savon Magne Jones, and Hay is right there to shut that down. There were 3 players in Rouge helmets right there ready to shut that down. Great defensive stand by Laval.
So the Mustangs will attempt this field goal from the right hash at the 45-yard line of the Rouge. Brian Garrity's longest this year from 49. He has the wind at his back. Ball is out, down, kicked, and right down the middle. It's good. So the Mustangs spot a 10-point early lead after a 45-yard field goal from Brian Garrity. Keon Edwards has carried the load in the early going for this Western offense, which has been a mix of pass and run in the early going. But a look at his season, 129 yards per game. Deshawn led the country. He was unstoppable, and in that Queens game, he put up 190 for 3 touchdowns against maybe the other best defense in the country.
Yeah, and as you could see, he's only getting better. He just came off his best rushing performance of the season last week in the Yates Cup, rushing for 260 yards. So it seems like Keon Edwards only gets better as the season goes on.
Back-to-back OUA MVP selections for Keon Edwards as he gets some attention on the Western sideline. But just a physical powerhouse who leads this 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, shall we say, of the Western Mustangs.
It's rare you'll ever see a run game with 4 running backs that are just so elite. I love to call it elite depth. All 4 of these running backs can start on any OUA team, any U Sports team if they wanted to. But they're all here on the same team, on the same offense, and they're all doing damage.
And following in the footsteps of Cedric Joseph and Alex Taylor and Trey Humes, we can go on and on. These running backs come to Western willing to put in their time on the scout team and wait for their chance to shine. But when they get in, they play behind the best offensive blocking in the country. Look at their offense and defensive prowess here this season. I mean, 45 points a game was their average, total of 360 to lead the country. Number 1 on the ground at 192 yards. But 4,106 yards offense this year. High snap again. This is unbelievable. And no, he can't find it. It's recovered by Bowers. Kane for a touchdown. Desjardins couldn't scoop it up. And another disaster for Laval in this opening quarter.
Oh my goodness. Once again, another miscommunication between the center and Arnaud Desjardins. Another high snap. And listen, this time Arnaud Desjardins couldn't fall on it. And Bowers Kane scoops that up and brings it in for 6. This is not the start that Glenn Constantine was hoping for in this Mitchell Bowl matchup. This is not the way you want to start against the defending national champions.
3 consecutive high snaps. The second turnover, Garrity with the point after, and it's 17-0 Western to start this football game. The Mustangs can't believe their fortune. And we've not seen Laval play this kind of mistake-prone football at all this year. But they've got a problem with Nicolas Thibodeau, the veteran center. And will they make a change here? They've got to do something. And now Laval on its heels, having to be in comeback mode in the first quarter of this football game.
And this is so uncharacteristic of a Glenn Constantine coach team. This is the Laval Rouge are typically one of the most well put together and you know, teams that you could find. You'll never see them making these type of mental errors. So I'm pretty shocked to see this type of start from any team coached by Glenn Constantine.
The Mustang horses galloping, celebrating a second touchdown. There's the center, Thibodeau, who has botched 3 straight shotgun snaps. Garrity with the kickoff. Duff at his own goal line for Laval. Heading up the hash marks. Makes early contact and is brought down. That's Max Nixon, the linebacker who's playing with a broken hand, who makes the tackle on the kickoff from Garrity. So what's going through this young man's mind? All we've been told this year is that Desjardins has incredible poise. In fact, they had to tell him to be more agitated. But this has got to be hurting his confidence with his center.
But I think if you're Arnaud Desjardins, there's no need to be in panic mode yet. The first drive from what we've seen was pretty good. Couple mental mistakes. If they can clean up the mistakes, so far so good from what we've seen from this offense.
First down, Laval. Good snap. Muganda takes the handoff. Oh, he's got open field. A straight arm on Valente Jr. Then he lowers the shoulder on the Western safety and making an exclamation mark on that 21-yard gain and a first down for Laval.
You see Muganda takes the handoff, gets through the hole, and he delivers a vicious stiff arm to the leader of this Western Mustangs defense. Vicious stiff arm. That's a statement-making play. There's no need to think that this Laval team is over yet. They're down, but they're not over yet.
Muganda is a power back on this Laval offense. A rock star at every level from junior to CJEP. And once again, he carries the mail as Bowers Kane makes the tackle after an 8-yard gallop. So Muganda has put some life back into this shaken Laval offense.
And if you can establish the run, why not? Why not?
Thibodeau stays at center. Muganda gets the handoff. He'll have 6 and another first down as Bruce Moss makes the tackle for Western. But Laval trying to settle their nerves, staying on the ground, getting some better snaps from Nicolas Thibodeau. But down by 17 early to a team that loves to front run. The Mustangs are a team that gets up early, then they grind you. First and 10 from the Western 54. A flag on the play. Looked like there may have been movement on the offensive line. 61. Nathaniel Dumoulin-Duguay, the second-year man who had that huge tackle in the final play of the game last week. That missed field goal in the Dunsmore Cup to seal the victory. So it'll be a 5-yard penalty. First and 15.
Another mental error.
Muganda stays into the backfield. High snap. Mattal takes the jet sweep. Kevin Mattal will have a gain of 5. He'll get back to the original line of scrimmage, and that's one thing we'll see with Kevin Mattal. They move him all over the place.
Yeah, Kevin Mattal, he's arguably one of the most talented skill players in the country, and that just gives you a glimpse of how talented he is. He's a gadget player. You can put him anywhere. You can put him in the slot. You can put him at wideout. You can bring him in on a jet sweep. And I'm not surprised to see them turn to Kevin Mattal when they face a little bit of adversity. Gets the first down there.
So Nicholas Gay has moved from guard to center after those bad snaps, and he's functioning a lot better. There's Desjardins with an arrow right up the middle, and that'll be a first down catch by Edouard Arsenault.
The first pass we've seen from Desjardins in a while.
You can hear Western saying get on the ball as Laval goes to hurry up here on this series. Muganda takes the ball. Malcolm Hines, the first team OUA All-Star and only returning member of that Vanier Cup defensive line, makes the tackle for Western. Looks like a gain of about 7, maybe 6.
And we got the last play here of the first quarter. Laval's gaining ground. They're trying to make up for their mental mistakes, see if they can reach the end zone.
Final play of the first quarter. Laval driving. Arsenault is open on the look-in. He'll have the catch and be a gain of 11 and a first down for Laval. So the Rouge et Or are clicking on offense after those 2 turnovers. Evan Hillock opening the game with that touchdown strike to Sivan Magnier-Jones. Then the fumbled snap picked up by Bowers Kane into the end zone for another touchdown. Add a field goal to the total. It's 17-0 Western after the opening quarter of this 2022 Mitchell Bowl. It's all lined up for the Mustangs. A look at some of the miscues. The snap that hit Desjardins in the face, recovered by Bruce Moss. Another high snap on the very next play on offense forced Desjardins to go back, and then a third consecutive high snap. This time Desjardins could not find the football. It was scooped up by Bowers Kane. The linebacker returned it into the end zone for a touchdown. So turnovers, the key in that opening quarter, that have helped stake Western to this 17-0 lead. But the ball is now on the 26-yard line, and Mattal with his hands on the football, and a gain there of 6, so 2nd and 4. So they go to play action, a little look into Mattal, and they'll actually spot the ball with a 7-yard pickup. So the ball inside the 20, 2nd and 3. But Mattal in a state of art and in a class by himself this year among receivers in the U Sports Football Conference.
And I think if you look at just the fact that he was the MVP of a conference that has so many talented players. You talk about Arnaud Desjardins, you talk about Bertrand Beaulieu from Montreal, you talk about Jonathan Senecal, the quarterback from Montreal. The fact that Kevin Mattal as a receiver was able to stand out amongst all of those talented athletes said so much about how he is as a football player and his ceiling as a receiver.
2nd and 3, Laval at the Western 19. They'll throw. Looking downfield. It's incomplete as David Dallaire, their Swiss Army knife at fullback, lost his footing. And so the ball hits the turf. It'll be 3rd and 3. Look at those first quarter numbers brought to you by Wilson.
Yeah, as you can see, the Laval Rouge et Or, although they're down, statistically, they're moving the ball. They've been able to hand the ball off and establish the running game. They're establishing the passing game with Mattal and Antoine, so they're able to move the ball. It's just those mental errors that have made this game so far, made it a 17-point game.
So the Rouge et Or will attempt this field goal from the 25-yard line. Vincent Blanchard, their kicker, who led the RSEQ conference. He's good from 26 exactly. And so the Rouge et Or are finally on the board. And I'm surprised they didn't go back to Muganda on that 2nd and 3. I mean, he's been getting 5, 6, 7, 8 yards at will. went to the air, and the miscue by Dallaire led to that incomplete attempt on 2nd and 3.
And you know what? Maybe they just wanted to get Dallaire in the game. They had a good look. Dallaire, 6'3", 215 pounds. He has hands. Even though he's a fullback, he has hands. 7 all-purpose touchdowns this year. So I wasn't surprised to see them give him a look. If he hadn't have slipped, might have been a different story.
Western with a lot to cheer about in the early going of this Mitchell Bowl. First down at the 35 for Western. Edwards cutting upfield, and Poirier stiffs him after a gain of 2 with some help from Jean-William Rouleau, the defensive tackle. The 2 RSEQ All-Stars stopping Edwards.
Yeah, and you're looking and you're seeing Poirier is stepping up to the plate and accepting the challenge of stopping the OUA's MVP. He got into that hole along with those defensive linemen and was able to take down Keon Edwards. I'm curious to see if Keon Edwards can switch up his game. We haven't seen Keanu Yazbek yet. I'm curious to see if Keon Edwards can maybe break free on a run coming up.
2nd and 8. It's complete to Justin Nixon. Big tackle by Petit, and it looks like they'll hold them short of a first down by a yard. So Felix Petit, the safety, stops Nixon from first down territory.
Laval's defense is feeling confident. They were able to keep up with Justin Nixon on that 10-yard curl, and they did not allow the first down. And they were able to force Western's offense likely off the field on this next play.
So it's 3rd and inches for the Mustangs. And so Jackson White, the backup quarterback, will come into the game at 6'4", 220. He's a big man as they load up the heavy team. White, former MAC quarterback who transferred to Western. Under center. 3rd down gamble. He'll get it easily with some assistance from Keon Edwards. So the Mustangs, who regularly gamble on 3rd downs, will keep this drive alive.
But you can see the fact that they didn't punt the ball means that they don't want to give the ball back to Laval, because they know Laval's offense, minus the mental errors, are making ground, are making moves, right? So you could see just the fact that they went for it on 3rd down so early in the game in the 2nd quarter means that they're aware that Arnaud Desjardins is moving the ball.
Mustangs at their own 46. 1st and 10 with Keon Edwards in the backfield. 3 receivers to the wide side. Play action. Hillock fires a quick pass close to a first down. It'll be complete as Seth Robertson makes his first catch of the football game. Robertson, a 2nd-year starter out of Cambridge, Ontario. One of the bright lights in this receiving corps.
Yeah, he wasn't an OUA All-Star, but he did have 31 receptions, 518 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. He's risen to become a primary target on this offense.
Hugo LaRue makes the tackle, but Robertson will get 10 and a first down as the Mustangs get across midfield. Hillock hands off to Keon Edwards. Edwards, not much room there. Now he gets outside. Edwards lowers his shoulder, and he'll have another first down. Edwards dropping his shoulder on Charles-Alexandre Jacques.
And he was able to make something out of nothing. You saw right there, Jacques was right there ready for him, and he bounced out with the stiff arm, found him some space up the sideline, lowered his shoulder again, and got the first down.
Jacques coming back into the lineup after being injured last week and not dressing for the Dunsmore Cup against Montreal. Linebackers with a tough task here today against this running attack. It's Keanu Yazbek now into the game at running back, and Yazbek twisting and turning will have a gain of 2 on the play. So he moves into that number 2 running back position with Edouard Wanati unable to be with the team. He is home in Quebec for personal reasons.
Yeah, and they gave Keanu Yazbek the first look of the day, but you can see Laval was ready. They were ready, and they were able to shut down that run, probably giving Keon Edwards a breather. Also want to get Keanu Yazbek involved in the game as the game goes on to play into that depth. Not surprised to see them give him some touches early on in the 2nd quarter.
Maxime Lavallee, the defensive captain, in on the play. 2nd and 8. Edwards takes the ball, slides outside, and he'll be chipped a little short, about a yard shy of the 3rd down, and Lavallee in again on the play. Laval and Beaulieu, the two halfbacks in that secondary, do a lot of the tackling on this defense.
Yeah, Laval had 32.5 tackles and Beaulieu had 28.5 tackles. They're halfbacks. But I like to say that they're halfbacks that give you linebacker production. So they're going to be a key pieces of seeing if Laval can stop this run game today.
3rd and 1. Hillock stays in at quarterback. Western gambling again on this 3rd down situation. Edwards in the backfield. Lots of motion. They give to Edwards, and he'll have the 1st down. Edwards driving for 4 yards to move the yardsticks for the Mustangs as they take more time off this clock going into the wind and keeping the ball away from this powerful passing attack of the Rouge.
And you can see they didn't want to go for the field goal. They didn't want to punt the ball. They didn't want to give up any opportunities. Keon Edwards followed Zach Fry, followed Phil Grahovac. 2 first-team OUA All-Stars found a hole and was able to push through for the 1st down. A look right there at Zach Fry, first-team OUA All-Star.
Big man at 6'6", 305 at the right tackle on this powerful offensive line. Play action, Hillock. Lots of time, dancing in the backfield, finds Griffin Campbell open. Campbell trying to stay on his feet. He's down at the 16, but the Mustangs threatening again with another 1st down. Campbell, of course, had 2 third-quarter touchdowns to break open that Vanier Cup 1 year ago.
And you can see Evan Hillock was going through his reads, couldn't find anything, saw Griffin Campbell down there in the flats with his check down, passed it to Griffin Campbell. He slipped, caught the ball, though, to keep the Western Mustangs alive on this drive for a 1st down.
The Mustangs marching here inside the Laval red zone. 1st down, just shy of the Rouge 16-yard line. Here comes the blitz. Hand off to Edwards. He gets outside, gets away from Rouleau, and is down at the 4-yard line with another Western 1st down.
And you can see on that play, Coleman made a key block on Quintonville that opened up that entire sideline for Keon Edwards to just slice through the field and find some daylight. Coleman with that key block right there. Takes his hands off, shows it wasn't holding, and lets Keon Edwards do his thing.
Landry makes the tackle, but the Mustangs threatening to run it up again. 1st down at the 4-yard line as Edwards stays in at running back. Magnate Jones in the backfield motioning to the short side. They'll hand off to Keon Edwards. Edwards diving hard and takes a punishing tackle. Looked like Poirier got a good piece of him, but he'll get to the 1-yard line just short of the goal line.
Not surprised to see that. Keon Edwards is your #1 back. You're in the red zone. You're threatening. You're essentially on the 2-yard line. You got to hand it off to the OUA MVP, but Poirier is right there. You can see he has Keon Edwards' number, and he's ready to meet him in the hole. He's waiting for him. Look at him right there. Waiting for him in the hole, makes the tackle.
They'll mark him back at the 2. Jackson White comes into the game on 2nd and goal from the 2-yard line. Heavy front in this powerhouse offensive line. 3-man backfield. White hands off. Edwards stops short. Poirier again, 1st man in on contact. And so it's 3rd and goal, Mustangs.
Poirier got to him immediately. You can see he's right there. He is lined up with Keon Edwards. Jackson White snaps that ball, and Poirier finds a hole, gets to him immediately, and trips him up. That is a pivotal play right there. Small touch, but trips him up.
Mustangs lose a yard on the play as William Desgagnés gets in to help out with Poirier. So it's 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line. Play clock down to 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 2. And so the play clock has run out. There'll be a flag for delay of game against Western, and Jackson White will head back to the sideline, and the Mustangs will attempt a field goal as Brian Garrity heads out onto the field.
And you can see they were thinking about going for it on 3rd down, and that just goes to show that they are aware that Laval is still very much in this game. They do not want to give up any opportunity to score a maximum amount of points. If they feel like they can get 7 or 6, they'll go and get 7 or 6.
Seth Robertson will hold on this 15-yard field goal attempt by Brian Garrity. Already good from 26 in this football game. It's blocked. The Rouge stuff it. It's kicked by Robertson out of bounds, And so the first break of this football game for Laval as they stuff and block that 15-yard attempt by Garrity. And Robertson wisely gets the ball out of bounds.
That is a huge play. You could see Laval was able to block that field goal, did not give up 3 points. Wow. Gets through there, makes the block, and yeah, Seth Robertson kicks the ball out of bounds. Very smart play on his end, prevents a scoop and score.
Hugo LaRue with the block. 28 after that blocked field goal by Hugo LaRue. 5:39 and counting till halftime, and the Rouge et Or with some urgency here. Play action. Desjardins deep downfield. Leclerc is open. Oh, and he can't get his hands on it. Dazzaro, Leclerc just missing on that deep ball from Arnaud Desjardins.
We haven't seen Desjardins go deep all day long. That was his first deep shot to Leclerc. And Leclerc was within range of that pass. A little bit overthrown, makes an effort, can't haul it in, only one hand.
Laval going after Jacob Saunders, the field side corner, in his first year as a starter. Looking for a weakness. 2nd and 10. At their own 28. Desjardins with time. Airs it out to the wide side. Edouard Arsenault has it and will be knocked out of bounds. Valenti Jr. getting in there to dish a little chin music, and now there's some talking as Arsenault has words. It's a gain of 28 though, and a first down.
The key thing about Western secondary is they run a lot of zone. You can see right there, Arsenault was wide open. Why? Because the corner backed away, but catches the pass, brings it up the field, first down.
Magunda on the ground, big man lowers the boom, and he'll have another first down for Laval. Jackson Finley, the boundary halfback, making the tackle for Western.
Magunda is having a fantastic game today. He's playing to the par of Keon Edwards, which is something we didn't see all season long from any Laval Rouge et Or running back.
First down at the Western 43. Magunda stays in at running back. Play action. Desjardins airs it out. Check down route to Magunda, and Magunda is piled up by Max von Muhldorfer, the second-year starter for Western, and they'll have another first down.
On that last play, Arnaud Desjardins stared down Kevin Mattel and saw he was covered, went to his check down, but they're looking for Mattel down the stretch in the second quarter.
Some smiles in that huddle as Laval is rolling here. Just under 4 minutes to go until halftime. Ball at the Western 32. First down. Rouge et Or trying to come back from some terrible turnovers and miscues. Muganda again gets through that defensive line of Westerns, and a gain of 8. 2nd and 2. We talked about that defensive line. Only Malcolm Hines is back from last year's defensive line that featured the likes of Nick Theriault and Deontay Knight.
Yeah, and you're seeing it today. Laval has not run the ball like this all season. They've been a pass-first identity team, but it seems like today they've taken on the identity of a running team.
You still see that poise from Desjardins despite those 3 high snaps. He's not easily rattled. 2nd and 2. Muganda into traffic, driving, and it looks like he's going to be short. Riley McLeod sticking his nose in there with some support from Findlay, and they'll be just short of the first down.
Riley McLeod, second team OUA All-Star, had 2.5 sacks this year. One of their go-to linebackers, really pivotal in helping stop the run.
Third down by the length of the football for Laval, driving as we hit the 3-minute warning at Western Alumni Stadium.
Hey,
Rouge et Or in their road to the Mitchell Bowl. They were defeated just once during the RSEQ regular season by Montreal in a close 21-18 loss, then avenged that in the Dunsmore Cup with that 25-24 victory, winning on that missed 47-yard field goal and scoring in the most Canadian of ways in football, scoring the Rouge. So the Rouge et Or win by a Rouge and advance to this Mitchell Bowl here in London, Ontario. Now it's third and the length of a football for Laval And David Dallaire has come into the game. So you see this quite often this season. So 39 Dallaire goes in at Wildcat, the fullback. He'll take the snap and he has the first down. Dallaire is what Glenn Constantine calls his Swiss Army knife. He holds on point afters. He goes in Wildcat like this with the quarterback Desjardins also on the field. And he's a great receiver.
Yeah, David Dallaire might be he might be the best all-around football player that we'll see today. Like you said, he's a fullback. He can line up in the backfield and dish out blocks. He has hands. He can catch passes. He holds on field goals. He can long snap. He played linebacker when he was in CGF. He can do it all, if you ask me.
Still at Wildcat. Desjardins slot back. Oh no, Dallaire fumbles with the football and then manages to get his hands back on it before Brendan Murphy makes the tackle. So that's the fourth botched snap for this Laval offense and a loss of 5. So it'll be 2nd and 15.
Again, uncharacteristic of a Glenn Constantine coach team. It looked like he was going to throw a pass. He looked like he was ready. He had both hands on it, slipped out of his hands.
He had the end of the football looking up just before he made sure of contact right there and managed to get back on it. But it's 2nd now and 17. Desjardins against a 3-man rush, throwing downfield into traffic, incomplete. Looking for Kevin Mattel, but no chance on that attempt, and so it'll be 3rd down.
And he had time on that pass. He had a lot of time to go through his reads. I'm surprised to see he still forced it to Mattel, even though Mattel was essentially in triple coverage.
Mattel and Gaillardets were both in the vicinity, so 3rd down and 17, and a touchdown opportunity to try to draw to within 7 goes awry. And Brendan Murphy is the injured Mustang, their veteran will linebacker, a man who has wreaked havoc this season with his blitzes. 2nd with 3.5 sacks this year, behind Bruce Moss, who led with 6.5. But that's a big loss if it's serious for the Mustangs. Cold beers on a nippy day here in Southern Ontario as the Western faithful celebrate a 17-3 lead. And now Vincent Blanchard. His kick is up and wide right, and it goes out of touch for a Rouge. So Blanchard misses from 35 yards for a single point, and this Laval scoring machine really having trouble getting untracked. So Blanchard wide for a single. Make it 17-4 Western with 2:05 to play until the half as they take over at their own 35. Keon Edwards in the backfield with Evan Hillock. 3 to the wide side. Hillock looking down the middle. Incomplete, nearly intercepted, in and out of the hands of Seth Robertson. And Laval got a piece of that. Make it 2nd and 10.
And you can see right there on that pass play, it seemed like Evan Hillock actually wanted to dump it off to Keon Edwards in the flats. Yeah, goes through his reads. Notices Seth Robertson's coming over the middle. But there's some traffic there. Poirier almost had his hands on him.
2nd and 10. Mustangs. Edwards stays in the game with Coleman at fullback after Nichols left injured. Play action. Hillock throwing a howitzer down the middle. It's complete to Campbell. Griffin Campbell has a Western first down at his own 46 with that gain of 11.
And we talked about it earlier. Anything over the middle is within the comfort zone of Evan Hillock, whether it be to Griffin Campbell, whether it be to Seth Robertson. Anything over the middle is where you'll see Hillock mostly throwing the ball.
Edwards takes the handoff from Hillock. He's got a gap Finally brought down after a gain of close to 7 on the play. Slow to get up is the right tackle, Zach Fry, who had back problems earlier this season. Big offensive line that Edwards credits for his success as the OUA MVP the last 2 seasons. It's 2nd and 4. Edwards stays in at running back. Blitz from Laval. Edwards breaks tackles into open space, and Poirier finally tracks him down as he crosses the 45-yard line of the Rouge and a first down. So Laval can't stop the run.
Yeah, and I'm surprised to see, considering earlier in the game, they were locking up their tackles. They were finishing their tackles. But here, as you can see, 2 missed tackles leaves a lot of open space, and Keon Edwards thrives in open space. You never want to give him that much room to run the ball. He will make you pay, made them pay right there.
Yazbek now into the game. He heads upfield for a gain of 5 on first down. Keanu Yazbek out of Champlain College, same college as his teammate Edward Wanati, who is not in the lineup for personal reasons, as they shuttle back and forth, and Edwards returns.
Hand the ball off to Yazbek again. Get him settled in, see what he can do, picks up a few yards, solid run.
Yazbek with a 4.5 40 speed, very quick, the fastest of the Western running backs. 2nd and 5 from the Laval 40 for Western. Edwards on the ground, and he'll be stopped short of the first down. So Laval finally stopped the bleeding. It'll be 3rd and 1. Now what does Greg Marshall do?
We saw earlier he did not want to punt the ball. He did not want to go for a field goal. Curious to see if the Mustangs will go for it again on 3rd down, considering there's only 45 seconds left in the 2nd quarter.
It's a long yard, about 1.5 yards into the wind. The offense staying on the field. 3rd down gamble, final seconds of the first half. Western. 5 seconds left on the play clock. Hillock gets the ball away just in time. Edwards has the first down. Some good battles out there as Spencer Nichols duels with Francis Bouchard with this blocking scheme, this big front wearing down Laval. But this is bad news. Keon Edwards now down on one knee after getting that first down. So the Western athletic therapist attend to this big back.
And you can see Spencer Nichols and Zach Fry do their job and open a small hole for Edwards to squeeze through, and he takes advantage of it.
Edwards' back was to the play, twisting and turning. Hard to see there what may have caused his injury, but he'll make his way off the field. Looks like he's favoring his face. He already has 106 yards rushing in this opening half. So the Western run game is working accordingly. Final 20 seconds of this half. They have another first down at the Laval 34-yard line. A chance to stick a dagger into the Rouge before halftime. Hillock to Magne Jones. He's got the ball, turns upfield, and he'll be brought down shy of the first down. Beaulieu makes the tackle for the Rouge et Or. It's a gain of 8, 2nd and 2, 10.8 seconds on the clock.
And you can see they just went simple hooks with both Nixon and Magne Jones. Magne Jones catches it, turns to the sideline, gets tackled right there, but a solid gain.
Magne Jones having another terrific season and leading the Mustangs with 9 receiving touchdowns, leading the OUA in that category. Remember, he suffered torn tendons in his foot in this very game 1 year ago and was on crutches and unable to play in the Vanier Cup last year.
And it's just been amazing to see how he's come back and emerged once again as the leading receiver for this team, securing an OUA All-Star bid for a 2nd straight season.
So Hillock, during that delay, keeping warm. keeping his arm warm. 10.8 seconds on the clock until the half. 2nd and 2. Time for maybe 2 plays.
Edwards remains on the sideline. Yazbek is in at running back.
Well within field goal range. Play action. Hillock looking to the end zone. Magne Jones open. Incomplete. Ball was short into the wind.
And they went for a shot. And you can see Evan Hillock is frustrated because he knows this is realistically still a close game. And it looks like he may have underthrown that pass. Magne Jones went down the seam, and he was wide open. Evan Hillock took that shot. It was a little bit of a wobbly pass, a little bit underthrown. Magne Jones made a good attempt at catching it, but could not come up with that catch.
Yeah, a bit of a duck from Hillock into the wind. That takes the spin off the ball. And so a 33-yard attempt for Brian Garrity into the wind. His last attempt from 15 was blocked. Garrity from 33 is blocked again! Dansereau Leclerc scoops up the ball. There are flags on the play as Dansereau Leclerc gets out of bounds. Zeros on the clock will sort this out. But for the second consecutive attempt, the Mustangs are blocked. Garrity's field goal blocked.
And now you see Western are on the opposing end of some mental errors. And it's not necessarily mental errors, but that front 7 on the kick block is getting to Brian Garrity and blocking those kicks. And again, they've taken 6 points off the board. So they're saving points. Even though it was a field goal, this now is still a 2-score game.
Hugo Leroux gets his hands on that field goal attempt to block it. Laval declines the penalty, and they head to their locker rooms at the half of a wild, mistake-prone opening half of this 2022 Mitchell Bowl. 2 turnovers leading to touchdowns for in London, Ontario, where the hometown Mustangs have a 17-4 lead over the Laval Rouge. Let's go to the sidelines now, and here's Victor Findlay with a special guest.
Thanks very much, Mark. Yes, when we first had the Mitchell Bowl in 2002, it was named after Douglas Mitchell, former CFL commissioner and Canadian Football Hall of Famer, and I'm thrilled to be joined now by one of his children, Steve Mitchell. Steve, great to have a family presence here at the Mitchell Bowl again this year. You were out there for the coin toss to get things started. What was that experience like, and what's it like just to be back at this event?
Oh, it's great. Every time, it's a great job by U Sports putting this on. Phenomenal, great time with the people here. Couldn't be better. Lots of family and friends watching it. Great to be here representing my dad and the rest of the family.
We mentioned off the top there, this bowl is named after your dad. What does it mean to the family to have his name live on with the Mitchell Bowl?
Oh, it's great. My family's always been involved with sports, amateur athletics, with the university. Whether it's football, it doesn't matter what it is. Huge supporter of amateur athletics, our family, for a long time.
Right, of course, your mom as well. So that the U Sports Athletes of the Year, the male and female, are both, the award for that's both named after your mom and your dad. So in particular, university athletics, what role has that played in your family over the years?
Oh, it's been huge. Always supported. It doesn't matter what it was. As kids, we went to all the university games we could, what school it was. Big support from the family and a lot of our friends too.
Excellent. Thanks so much for your time, Steve. Appreciate it. And stay warm. Enjoy the rest of it.
My pleasure. Appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Once again, Steve Mitchell. Mark?
Vic, thanks very much. Daylight beginning to fade here in southern Ontario. Rouge have got some things to figure out, but they're still in this football game at halftime.
Absolutely. You can see right here, you were able to see the amount of turnovers that happened with regards to the miscommunication between Arnaud Desjardins and the center. They turned the ball over 4 times. They nearly turned the ball over 4 times in that first half. But as you can see, it's still a two-score game. And they've been moving the ball on offense. They've been able to establish the passing attack. They've been able to establish the run game. But as you can see, Western has been able to establish both the run game and passing attack with Keon Edwards and Evan Hillock.
Well said. The first half statistics brought to you by Wilson, the official football of U Sports. Turnover is a real factor for Laval as they make their way onto the field. Long snaps, a real problem. They had 4 problems with long snaps. 3 of them with Desjardins when first hit him in the face mask. The other 2 went over his head. And then Dallaire coming in the Wildcat, the fullback, took his hands off the ball momentarily, dropped it, managed to fall on it. But that really ended what looked like a good scoring drive, and ultimately they got a Rouge on a missed field goal after that. But blocked field goals, 2 in the second quarter by Laval, have put them back in this football game.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Both teams are having their breakdowns. You can see with Laval, it was on offense and the ball snaps. With Western, it's on the special teams front. And that's maybe why you can see that Greg Marshall didn't want to go for it, wanted to go for it on third down, as opposed to kicking field goals and punting the ball. He doesn't want to give the ball back to that Laval offense, and he knows that they're blocking a lot of those kicks today. So I'm curious to see if we can see some mistake-free football from both of these teams in the second half and what that looks like. What does mistake-free football look like from these 2 national powerhouses?
Here's our game summary from this opening half. That 35-yard touchdown pass from Hillock to Magnier Jones to open the scoring. Then the 6-yard fumble recovery on the bad snap, scooped up by Lorenz Bowers-Kane for a touchdown. Laval lost 2 of 3 fumbles. Another field goal coming off one of those botched snaps. And Laval, of course, ending the half on a high note with a couple of blocked field goals. 17-4. Western with the lead. Laval won the coin toss and deferred. And so Western will get the ball, and Laval will get the wind in the fourth quarter. Savon Magnier Jones at his own 18-yard line. Magnier Jones, the shifty receiver, is bottled up as he crosses the 35, but there is a flag on the play. There was not one single kick return for a touchdown in the RSCQ this year. I mean, that's unbelievable, isn't it? But it speaks to the great kick and punt coverage they've had in that conference. The holding call against Western will put them in bad field position to start this second half. They'll be back at their own 15, Deshawn, and going into the wind. So there's Keon Edwards, who went over the century mark in that first half on the ground, left the game favoring, it looked like his eye or something, but he's good to go to start this second half for Western at running back. First down at their own 15. Edwards gets the call, and he's stuffed. So this will be really interesting to see what kind of adjustments these teams have made at the half. Can Glenn Constantine, a great defensive coach in his own right, find a way to slow down the freight train, Keon Edwards?
Can I just say, you know Laval fans are in the building when you hear the air horn. Yeah. You know Laval fans are in the building when you hear the air horn. I find it amazing to see how strong this fan base is. And they've made the 12-hour drive to London to support their team on a quest for a Vanier Cup.
Injured Laval player, they'll attend to him, and we'll look at Edwards' production in the first half. He rushed for more than 100 yards. I mean, he does make a lot of his own yards. He's got a great offensive line, but then he puts his head down, drops his shoulder, and battles for more.
Yeah, he has an amazing offensive line, 3 OUA All-Stars on that offensive line, but you can see he's able to break a lot of tackles and make opportunity on his own. You saw in that play right there, he's able to break the tackle. Keon Edwards is that type of back. He has a great O-line, but when you have a great running back complemented with a great O-line who can break tackles, opportunity happens. And you see this season, again, has not rushed for less than 100 yards and continues that streak today with 108 so far in this game.
So the 100-yard rushing streak unbroken, continuing here today in the Mitchell Bowl. 108 yards for Keon Edwards in that first half. Play action now for Hillock at quarterback. Now he'll throw it up. Deep ball down the sidelines, and it's incomplete. Nixon was open, but the ball falls short into the wind.
And that is the second time you've seen Evan Hillock either overthrow or underthrow Justin Nixon, and the third time you've seen him throw an inaccurate pass on a wide open receiver in this game. It happened earlier in the game with Justin Nixon on the seam down the sideline. It happened in the second quarter with Savon Magnier Jones in the end zone, and now we're seeing an underthrown pass to Justin Nixon, which could have been a huge play for this offense.
45 yards into the wind, but it died. And now Cregan to punt from his own 5. Good high punt, held up by the wind. Taken by Dansereau Leclerc at his own 46. And he's down at the 54. So good punt cover by the Mustangs. And Laval, though, with great field position on their first possession. And Dansereau Leclerc is down. Key member of this receiving corps for the Rouge or, and one of their top returners in some serious difficulty. Oh, his leg got twisted. Connor Franzisi, the first-year linebacker out of Keswick, Ontario, looked like he got a hold of that leg and was a dog on a bone there. So this Laval offense going back to work after that mistake-prone opening half. Problems with their exchange from center to quarterback. They moved Nicolas Thibodeau out and moved the left guard Nicolas Gay in to the center spot to try to stop the bleeding there. Dansereau Leclerc makes his way off the field. He's had a couple of catches so far in this football game. Great possession receiver, a man they like to go to on short yardage to keep the sticks moving. There you see 63, Gay at center to start the second half, and Thibodeau moving over to his spot at left guard. Magunda on the ground. Magunda, a little shift, and he's brought down by Riley McLeod, and a gain of 9 on that first down carry.
Magunda has had an amazing game so far, considering the fact that, again, Laval was not a running team this year. They were not known for their run. They were known for their pass. But to see how Magunda has been able to help establish that run and keep this offense alive as they've been able to struggle with the pass has been simply amazing.
Second and about a yard as David Dallaire and Yuri Gauthier come into the game, adding some bigger bodies. Magunda stays at running back. Second and 1. It's Magunda getting the call. Look at that, full foot speed ahead, and you'll have the first down and a gain of 7. So Magunda has really been slicing through this Western defense.
And you saw Dallaire was able to deliver a huge block to Bruce Moss. Magunda has been the one model of consistency for Laval today. They've had a lot of mental errors, but Magunda has been that one piece of consistency, so not surprised to see him leading the charge in the second half.
Magunda coming back to Laval after 1 year of junior college in California. He's been a feature back in this game. Here comes pressure. Desjardins looking how cool he is. Now he's going to run. How did he escape the sack? Desjardins with all kinds of poise and defenders all around him, and somehow he pulls a Houdini and escapes, and now Murphy is back down on the turf. He was injured in the first half, and Brendan Murphy, their will linebacker, hurt for Western.
The pocket broke down. The pocket broke down. You saw they brought the blitz, and Ardon Desjardins was able to squeeze out of there. You saw the receivers were fully covered. He could not go through his reads. He's just picking up yards at this point, trying to keep the play alive. Positive yardage. Valente Jr. takes him down on that play.
So Murphy still down on the turf as the Western athletic staff attends to him. Terrific season with 3.5 sacks this year, second in that defense for Western. Some concerned looks with Kevin McNeil, one of their linebacker coaches, watching as again Murphy limps off gingerly. We get back to the poise of Desjardins. He's a 4.0 law student. He's in his 3rd year, and there was a running joke between him and Glenn Constantine last year when Glenn said, "Can you at least play 1 year before you graduate?" I mean, this kid is so smart. But what he's decided to do, he's going to finish his degree next year. Instead of articling, he's going to take his master's so he can at least play 5 seasons of football. 2nd and 5, Mattel one-hands it. It's a catch at the 30. Kevin Mattel with a brilliant one-hander that ignites his quarterback.
And Jackson Finley was all over Kevin Martel. Desjardins stares down Martel the entire time, and Martel goes up one hand, grabs it, 1 foot in bounds. That's a solid catch. And this offense is pretty amped. That's the spark that they need to carry themselves on this drive.
First down. Magunda on the carry. Bruce Moss makes the tackle with some help from Max von Muhldorfer out of Calgary in his second year. Von Muhldorfer coming back last week after breaking his leg earlier this season and missing 7 weeks. It's a gain of 4 by Muganda. Make it 2nd and 6. Western with 7 in the box. They'll pass. It's complete, and Frederic Antoine makes the catch at the 20 before losing his footing. So it'll be 3rd down and half a yard, and a decision here for Laval on their opening offensive series.
And you see David Dallaire is ready to go into the game. You saw him go in before on 3rd down. I'm curious to see what he'll do on this 3rd down.
Laval will leave their offense on the field. 3rd and 1. Just outside the Western 20. There's Dallaire, the fullback, under center. Desjardins out at receiver. Dallaire has the first down in a gain of 3, maybe 4. So Laval's Swiss Army knife gets it done. Holds on to the football, moves the sticks into the red zone.
And if he didn't trip up on that play, there's a possibility he could have taken that to the house. So that is a touchdown saving play on that tackle by David Dallaire.
You know, that's a good point you make, Deschamps, because this season he was in on a 3rd and 1 and took it 45 to the house. So he's very dangerous, very versatile. Laval in the Western red zone. First down. Here comes the blitz. Desjardins is caught. Murphy back in the game, makes the sack as whistles blow. But how about Brendan Murphy? Twice he's limped off the field and twice he's come back to stick his nose into the fray.
Pretty solid performance from him today. We've seen him go down 2 times. Despite that, continues to not only come back into the game, make impact plays. That was a solid sack by Brendan Murphy on a drive where Laval was kind of feeling confidence as they're rolling down the field, able to shed off that block and get straight to Desjardins to shut down that play.
Alex Duff, unable to make the block. 2nd down and 11, more pressure, incomplete as Desjardins gets rid of the ball under pressure, and Murphy is down again for Western. Trying to leak the ball out to Muganda, and so this drive stalls deep into Western territory at the 21. And there's Murphy for the 3rd time, favoring that left leg.
Western did something special. What they did was they sent Jackson Finley on that blitz. They sent their halfback on a blitz, and Arnaud Desjardins did not expect that. That's something I haven't seen from the Western defense all season long. Halfback blitz paid off on that play.
It's so Paul Gleason, the defensive coordinator, he prepares this team so well defensively as they help Murphy off again, limping his way to the sideline. How many times can he come back? Vital has not been a big factor here today. So the Rouge with a 28-yard field goal attempt by Vincent Blanchard. His longest this year, 36. He was wide from 31 for a Rouge in the first half. It's a fake. It's a pitch underneath. And it's a first down and more. Oh, very close to a first down. Amiot picks up the ball. Etienne Amiot to the 1. As Laval fools them all.
What a look. What a look. You see David Dallaire comes out. Blanchard comes in at quarterback, pitches that ball off. And now the other is gone. Finds a hole, big stiff arm, breaks a tackle off Jackson Finley. And he almost scored. Keeps this drive alive. The Rouge they needed that play. Huge play for this team that's down by 2 scores, looking to score in this 3rd quarter.
Fake, turns to this, 1st and goal. Dallaire under center. Dallaire to the goal line. Touchdown, Rouge. So special teams continue to loom large in this Mitchell Bowl.
And we're learning that the Laval Rouge or are not just a one Fast A team. They're not just a one Fast A team. David Dallaire, their fullback, comes in at quarterback on the Wildcat. He had 7 all-purpose touchdowns this season. 7 all-purpose touchdowns, and 5 of them are rushing. That's his 6th.
Dallaire stuffs it into the end zone for the first major of this football game for the Rouge et Or. Now he'll hold for the point after. He does it all for this Laval team.
So talented.
Vincent Blanchard with the point after. It's up and good. It's a one-score game as the Rouge et Or hit the end zone on their opening drive of this second half to cut the Western lead to 6. It's 17-11 Mustangs in the third quarter in London. There's Nathaniel Dumoulin-Duguay, the left tackle on the offensive line for the Rouge et Or, who had a prominent role 1 week ago in the Dunsmore Cup. This Laval team can score any which way. We just saw it in this football game. This was the last play of the game. Blanchard wide on a 47-yard attempt, and Montreal Carabin unable to get the ball out of the end zone, and it was Nathaniel Dumoulin-Duguay, number 61, who made the tackle just shy of the goal line for the Rouge, and the single point that proved the difference in a 25-24 Laval victory over Montreal.
And that just goes to show they'll take points any way they can get them. Whatever way this team can get points on the board, they'll do it, and they'll do it to an elite standard.
Keon Edwards and Keanu Yazbek back to return this kickoff from Vincent Blanchard. And it is Edwards stepping in front of Yazbek, and he'll have a short return of about 6 yards on the play. Taken down by Nathan Vivier, the rookie linebacker from Vanier College. So Edwards rushing for more than 100 yards in every football game this season. We'll have to shoulder the load here in a game that's got a lot closer. 6 points.
Can he shoulder the load for 4 quarters is the question. We've never seen it this season. We're about to see it today.
First down at the Western 32. The handoff is to Keon Edwards. Edwards twisting and turning. A gain of 7 on the play. Finally met by Jacques. One year ago at the half, Western trailed Saskatchewan 12-10, and it was Evan Hillock and 2 touchdown passes to Griffin Campbell that turned the tide in that football game. Here's Hillock throwing again. Hillock to the wide side. It's complete to Justin Nixon. Nixon with a straight arm, still on his feet, and gets up to center field before he's finally brought down. Nixon in his final year of eligibility as a Mustang with a big first down on the receiving end of that pass from Evan Hillock.
Greg Marshall putting the ball in Evan Hillock's hands, giving Keon Edwards a rest. Hillock goes through his read, sees Nixon on that out route, and he catches and brings up the sideline.
Hillock to throw again. Magne Jones, the intended receiver. Oh, and he drops the football, but it was nearly intercepted. Petit, the safety, was in position to catch that football. And again, Hillock's balls are duck-like into the wind, and they're falling short.
Yeah, that should have been an interception. The fact that it wasn't, the Western Mustangs are very lucky.
Felix Petit from Champlain College. Chance there for a defensive turnover. Second down at 10 from the Western 54. Play action. Here's Hillock going deep for Griffin Campbell. He's open. Oh, he can't hold on to it. Campbell had it for a moment. Slipping deep in behind Anton Hay. Third down.
And that was one of the better passes Evan Hillock has put up today. Griffin Campbell makes an amazing effort, comes down with it, falls out of his hands. Couldn't complete the play. He had Hay beat downfield.
Campbell missed the semifinals against Laurier with a groin injury. He's come back and shows his great velocity there. Dansereau-Leclerc back to return this punt from Cregan. He'll take it at his own 17, nowhere to go. And down he goes. So tough field position for Laval as they go back on offense after scoring their first offensive major of this football game. It's a 6-point margin Western.
It's that moment again, the one you dream of every night. La seule chose qui te préoccupe, c'est la gloire. Le cheminement de la réussite, of pushing yourself further than ever before. But the true glory is in the shadows. Les sacrifices que tu fais, quand toutes les chances sont contre toi. When you can't push one more second, chase the glory. Visez haut.
One of Canadian university sports' proudest traditions is returning to CBC. Don't miss our coverage of the 57th Vanier Cup from Western's Alumni Stadium. Kickoff at 1 Eastern next Saturday, right here on CBC. So the Mustangs are stopped on their drive. And now Glenn Constantine, having settled his team at halftime, goes back to work on offense. And his young quarterback, Desjardins, remember last week in the Dunsmore Cup, Deshaun, he only threw for 65 yards and he threw an interception, and then turned it around the second half with 3 touchdown passes to Kevin Mattel. Rolling up play action and a bungled flat pass to Dallaire, incomplete. 2nd and 10.
And you talk about Desjardins last week in the Dunsmore Cup having that poor first half performance and being able to rebound in the second half. 3 touchdown passes to Maital, who also was able to rebound in the second half. It just goes to show how well coached this Laval team is, and they're able to really turn things around at halftime and make adjustments.
Western showing pressure on 2nd and 10. Arnaud Desjardins in the pocket, gets it away. It's complete to Frederic Antoine, and he grasps his right knee. Antoine suffered 2 torn ACL injuries during his 3-year career in the NCAA at Old Dominion, and looks like he's hurt again as he grabbed that knee, Deshaun.
Yeah, and Antoine was a player that we pegged as someone to look out for today, as someone who could step up in replacement of Kevin Maital, and he's done his job today. He's had a couple of receptions, pretty gone wide open and beaten that coverage on several opportunities. It's unfortunate to see him go down on that play.
Working on that right knee of Antoine. Glenn Constantine telling us this week that, you know, he had a quiet season, but he's just back to top form, and he said this is a kid we think can do some damage in the playoffs. So that's a good sign. Antoine, the 3-year NCAA veteran, and already has a degree in arts from Old Dominion, continuing his studies at Laval and making his way to the bench. First down at the 38 for Laval. Desjardins out of the backfield, a crossing right to Kevin Mattel. Mattel still on his feet, lowers his shoulder, takes a couple of shots into the Western bench, flashes a smile, having words with Valenti Jr. They had a bit of a running chat yesterday when Mattel said that Western hadn't faced an offense as good as theirs.
And Mattel gets free over the middle. Any opportunity you can have to throw to the RCQ MVP, you take it. And he's going to make them pay. Stiff arm, lowers his shoulder, gets out of bounds, ultimately gets the first down and moves the chains.
First and 10, Laval from the Western 53. Rouge will stay on the ground this time. Magunda off tackle, breaks a tackle, still hauling the mail. Bruce Moss finally makes the tackle, but not until a gain of 12 by Muganda, who's punishing this Western defense.
And the key block actually came from Kevin Mattel. You're going to see him fill in and break off a key block that opens the door for Mutunga to make his way through the middle and pick up some yardage for a 2nd and 1.
A lot of long reaches on that defensive Western, but arm tackles aren't going to bring him down, are they? There's Frederic Antoine again, getting that right knee addressed. Desjardins rolling to the right, downfield, intended for Arsenault, incomplete. Edouard Arsenault, the second-year man of Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, a business administration student, just out of his reach.
Had his hands on it.
It's a cold football. Both quarterbacks having a tough time with their release, getting spin on that ball. 2nd and 10. Arsenault becoming one of the featured receivers this year for the Rouge et Or. Play action now, pressure. Arsenault, or rather Menzies makes the catch, breaks a tackle. Menzies still on his feet, reaching for the end zone. He's thrown out of bounds at the 1. Andrew Menzies with his first catch of the game.
Andrew Menzies, they're running a zone, and he gets wide open on that comeback, squares up, makes a move, and he's gone. Squares up again on Daniel Valente. Daniel Valente has some trouble bringing him down, but the damage is already done. Brings Laval basically to the 1-yard line, and they're threatening to score.
Menzies, a backup receiver in this vaunted Laval passing attack. It's 3rd and goal from the 1. Dallaire back in at quarterback on shotgun. He stumbles, heads right, untouched, into the end zone for a touchdown. David Dallaire with his 2nd touchdown of this football game. And we're tied 17-all before the point after.
And like we just talked about with the Rouge last week, seeing what's happening now, whichever way they can get points, they'll take it. Backup receiver catches a reception and brings it to the 1-yard line. Your fullback in the Wildcat brings it in for a touchdown. Whichever way Laval can get points on the board, they will take it. They will score at an elite level. And now they are just an extra point away from taking the lead in this ball game.
So Antoine leaves the game with a knee injury, and Menzies steps up as a backup with a big play, leading to Dallaire's 1-yard plunge for a touchdown. That's Nathaniel Dumoulin-Duguay, the starting blindside tackle and RSEQ All-Star, who's down on the turf for Laval. But what a turnaround in this early going of the 2nd half as Dumoulin-Duguay limps off the field. One of their best linemen. He's the man that made that game-winning tackle for the Rouge on the final play of last week's Dunsmore Cup against Montreal.
And Mark, we've seen Laval's been able to stop the run in the 2nd half.
The point after for the lead, Blanchard is good. So for the first time in this football game, Greg Marshall's Mustangs are trailing. Glenn Constantine with 2 consecutive touchdown drives to start the 2nd half, and he's up by 1. A 1-point football game. Laval on top now for the first time. Muganda, the power back, has been a key feature of this Laval passing offense that has depended on the ground game. And look at the comparison between Muganda and Edwards now. 3 yards separate them and their efforts so far.
As I said, Muganda has been playing up to Keon Edwards level par. If I told you today that Laval's offense would flow through Muganda, you probably wouldn't have believed me. But that is the case today.
Muganda, who's been a star at every level on his way to U Sports competition. The back of the future here in the Laval Rouge et Or lineup. Over 100 yards rushing so far in this football game. Winds beginning to pick up. Mustangs have trailed twice in 10 games for a total of 13 minutes and 37 seconds. Greg Marshall said, we're not a come-from-behind football team. We're not built that way. 1 point, it's not a big deal at this point. But his team, he said, is built to take the lead and then wear other teams down. Vincent Blanchard to kick off, the wind beginning to pick up. Magne Jones has it at his own 25. A stutter step across the 30. He'll have a return of 11 on the play. Miscues costly for Laval in the first half. High snaps leading to a touchdown and a field goal. Bowers Kane scooping up that loose ball for a touchdown. But Dallaire responding in his wildcat position with back-to-back ground touchdowns as the Rouge take the lead. Now Evan Hillock handing off to Keon Edwards. Edwards bouncing outside. Edwards with a first down and more, but a flag is on the play as he's driven out of bounds at the Western bench.
And Evan Hillock still handing the ball off to his OUA MVP, rightfully so. Keon Edwards hasn't shown any signs that he'll slow down today. So it's only fair to see Hillock have the offense flow through his MVP running back.
Holding call is against Western, so a 10-yard penalty will make it 1st and 20 for the Mustangs. Young Evan Hillock, as we mentioned early in the broadcast, is 19-0 as a quarterback in U Sports competition for the Mustangs. Team down by 1 now. Adversity not something he's had to deal with. Quick bubble screen to Nixon. He's got it. And it'll be about 10 yards on the play, so close to the original line of scrimmage. Hillock, remember, was down by 2, 12-10 at the half of the Vanier Cup 1 year ago against Saskatchewan, then threw back-to-back touchdown passes in the 3rd quarter to Griffin Campbell as the Mustangs went on to win, and he won the MVP award. Hillock, 2nd down and 3. Little screen to Edwards, and he'll be very close. 2nd and 10 it was. Be very close to a first down. Poirier makes the tackle, but it is a first down.
And that just goes to show how versatile Keon Edwards is outside of the backfield. Yes, he can line up in the backfield, take a handoff, and bring it 10 yards. But he can also leak out on the screen, catch that pass, and bring it to a first down.
Pass intended for Griffin Campbell. Incomplete. As Arnaud Desjardins stays warm on the Laval sideline.
As this game continues to go on and Laval continues to seek to stop the run, the ball is going to end up in Evan Hillock's hands more. Can he make accurate passes to move the chains? That's what this game is going to come down to.
2nd and 10 from the 47 as Desjardins stays warm. Play action pass now from Hillock. Lots of time moving his feet. Now he dumps it off to Edwards. Edwards taken down by Alec Poirier, and he'll be short of the first down.
Alec Poirier is all over Keon Edwards. The story of this game as we continue to move on is going to be, can Evan Hillock move the ball to other receivers? Can Evan Hillock make those accurate passes and move away from his check down?
Edwards pounding the turf. Couldn't break the tackle. Cregan to punt from his 42 with the wind. Bouncing out of bounds at the 27-yard line. So Arnaud Desjardins back at the controls of an offense that has scored consecutive touchdowns in the second half.
It's that moment again, the one you dream of every night. La seule chose qui te préoccupe, c'est la gloire. Le cheminement de la réussite, of pushing yourself further than ever before. But the true glory is in the shadows. Les sacrifices que tu fais, quand toutes les chances sont contre toi. When you can't push one more second, chase the glory. Visez haut.
It's been a tale of two halves in this football game so far. Western jumping out to the early lead on the Magnay Jones 35-yard touchdown catch. Then Bowers Kane recovering that fumbled snap for another touchdown. And then block punts to end the half by Laval. And they responded in the second half with back-to-back 1-yard touchdown plunges by David Dallaire. And they have the lead by one, 18-17. Some concern, though, Deshaun, as we went to break on the Laval sidelines, as the athletic therapists were working very hard on the right hand, the passing hand of Arnaud Desjardins. And he hasn't had the same kind of spin on his ball in this football game. And you have to wonder if he's injured his hand somehow. They were really working it over.
Exactly, yeah. You mentioned it perfectly. We've seen the lack of spin on the ball, also the fumbles that we've seen earlier in the game. Could there be something going on that we may not know about?
They'll stay on the ground as Magunda carries the ball. Here's the look just before Desjardins came onto the field as the trainers kept working on that right hand, his passing hand. So clearly he has an issue there. And they're staying with him just before he went out on the field. 2nd and 7. The situation for Laval. Desjardins has trouble with the ball. It's knocked down and intercepted. Max von Bühldorfer, the defensive tackle, has the football deep in Laval territory.
What a play by Max von Bühldorfer, just weeks after coming back from a broken leg. You see Desjardins fumbles the ball a little bit there.
He can hardly hold the ball. Watch his release here.
Von Bühldorfer gets his hand up, tips the pass, and comes down with the ball. Unbelievable play by a defensive lineman.
Von Bühldorfer holding off the blocker with one hand, makes the pick with the other. The big defensive tackle from Calgary with a huge turnover. First down, Western at the 27. Hillock wants to go with the dagger to the end zone. Knocked down, it could have been intercepted.
Once again, another pass that could have easily been picked off.
Chris Beaulieu had his hands on it. His brother Jordan, a former Mustang who won a Vanier Cup with Western.
I'm sure there's a family affair going on there with Chris facing his brother's old team. Almost picked off the quarterback.
2nd and 10 for the Mustangs at the 26 of Laval. Here they come with pressure. Hillock still has time, gets it away. It's caught by Nixon. Nixon has it for a first down.
And once again, Justin Nixon on that comeback route, he had Heil all over him, but he was able to come down with that pass. Justin Nixon is money on that comeback route.
Great coverage by Anton Hay, but not enough to stop Nixon with that first down catch. And so Western now, first down from the 11 of Laval. Edwards takes the handoff, stacked up. He'll have a gain of 2, maybe 3 on the play as Jean-William Rouleau, the defensive tackle, big man at 327 pounds, stops Edwards.
It's important to note as we enter the fourth quarter, the Western Mustangs have not scored since the first half. It's rare that you see that from a Greg Marshall team, but it just goes to show how elite this Laval Rouge defense is.
2nd down and 7. Last play with the wind for Western. Hillock with a bullet. It's incomplete, thrown behind an open Savon Magnay Jones. So a huge missed opportunity for the high school buddies, the roommates and best friends. Hillock can't connect with Magnay Jones, and so a field goal attempt now for Western. And that's the last play of the third quarter. The last play Western had with the wind. They'll be going into the wind in the fourth as Western setting up for this go-ahead field goal attempt after that huge play by Max von Bühldorfer. Von Bühldorfer holding off the block, gets his hand up, knocks the pass down, picks it off with one hand. and takes the turnover. What a move by Van Mueldorfer, who broke his leg earlier this year, missed 7 weeks, and came back to action in the playoffs. Glenn Constantine's defense holding the Western offense and forcing them to this field goal attempt for just outside the 15-yard line. Brian Garrity of Western has it up and good, so the Mustangs take a 2-point lead. But Van Mueldorfer, in just his second year, adversity this year with the broken leg, and 1 year ago in this very game facing his big brother Ben, who was in his 5th and final year with St. FX. At the end of the game, look at this emotional hug. The rookie, Max, holding on to his brother Ben in his final game of U Sports competition. Max telling me their grandfather had passed away a month earlier, and this was an emotional time for the brothers as they crossed paths for the first and only time in their U Sports careers. Max Van Mueldorfer with a big play to set up the lead for Western. Matching of the minds between those great friends, Marshall and Constantine, in a wicked second half battle. Here's Desjardins with time. Across the middle, Kevin Mattel makes the catch, breaks the tackle, and steps out of bounds. There is a flag on the play well after the play, but Mattel stepping into the spotlight.
You can see Mattel lines up in the slot, and he goes across the middle, and he finds open field, and Jackson Finley's all over him, but he breaks that tackle. Again, he'll make you pay. Anytime you can pass the ball to the RSEQ MVP, you take that opportunity.
Objectionable conduct is the penalty against Mattel. He does like to run his mouth, and it's cost his football team here. So it'll be 1st and 10 from the 53, backing the ball up to midfield after Mattel's talking got him into trouble. First down. Desjardins crossing past to Dansereau Leclerc, and Leclerc is pushed out of bounds by Max Nixon. He'll be very close to a first down, but Desjardins is just softly throwing that football. There's clearly something wrong with his throwing hands.
Something's not right. We saw it on that interception to Max Van Mueldorfer, but as you can see, Laval is taking advantage of the fact that Western runs a zone, and it leaves a lot of open field in the middle. So they're attacking the middle of the field right now, taking advantage of that zone, and you know, really capitalizing on finding first downs. Max
Nixon made the play there. He's played most of the season with a broken hand. Looks like he's in for Brendan Murphy. Here's Magunda now. Hard running, high stepping, driving his way to what looks like another Laval first down. It's a gain of 11 and a first down as Muganda continues to pound this Western defense.
Back-to-back passing plays, have the defense thinking pass for a 3rd time in a row, hand it off to your running back, who's been your model of consistency for today. Beautiful choice of play by Glenn Constantine.
1st and 10, Laval from the 33 of Western. Edwards and Hillock watching nervously from the sideline as Muganda again carving his way to the 26, the safety, Daniel Valente Jr. having to make the tackle. It's a gain of 7. 2nd and 3, Laval.
And Muganda's really just proven to be their safe haven today. I don't think there's been a run that he's had today that's been under 5 yards. He's broken tackles on every single time he's touched the ball. Again, if anyone ever told me today that Muganda would have been the consistency for this Laval offense and it would have flowed through him, I would not have believed you. But here we are with that being the case.
2nd and 3. Laval with that heavy front. Play action. Dallaire with the ball leaking to him. He's got it for a first down and more. Rumbling his way down to the 6-yard line. David Dallaire, the Laval Swiss Army knife.
Like we said, the most talented all-around football player on this field. At 6'3", 215 pounds, David Dallaire reminds me a little bit of former York Lion Nikola Kalinick, who's with the Indianapolis Colts right now. Great hands, big frame, speed, amazing route runner, and you saw it all right there on that play.
1st and goal, Laval from the Western 6-yard line. Play action, looking for Mattel. He's got it He's hit immediately. It's Valente Jr. helping Mattel off. They had words yesterday after Mattel said, we've packed for 10 days. We're not going home. And that Valente and the Western defense hadn't faced an offense as good as Laval's. And Valente said, watch the stream tomorrow. We'll do our talking on the field. So it's a loss of 2 on the play. 2nd and goal from the 8-yard line. Rouge trying to score for the 3rd consecutive drive. 4-man rush. Desjardins flushed. Now he'll throw it away. It's complete. Touchdown, Dansereau Leclerc. Oh, it's incomplete. No, they're not going to give him the catch.
Let's see if it was complete.
Just touching the turf.
Bounces off the turf. And Arnaud Desjardins did a great job of keeping that play alive, rolling out the pocket as it broke down. He found Leclerc in the end zone, but just couldn't keep it off the turf.
So field goal attempt for Vincent Blanchard from the 15-yard line. Edwards and Hillock side by side near the heater on this damp, cold November Saturday. The ball is up and good. So the Rouge retake the lead, matching the Western field goal. 21-20 Laval here in the 4th quarter. 10:47 to play. 2 best teams in the land, arguably, in the game of the year. The winner going to the Vanier Cup. Our coverage continues when we come back. Third quarter stats brought to you by Wilson, the official football of U Sports. Rouge now with more yards on offense. Big running game, now dominating the Western running game. Who would have thought of that? And ahead of Western through the air as well. Turnovers, though, have been a factor. Look at that. A total of 5 in this football game. 2 block punts by Laval against Western and 3 fumbles by the Rouge.
And I think what's amazing to see is that Laval has still been able to establish their passing game despite not having Kevin Maital.
Two fumbles and the interception, my mistake there, but 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
By Laval. Hillock, play action, into the wind. Magnay Jones is open and it's incomplete. And we saw Hillock into a 90K wind in the semifinal against Laurier throw his one and only interception this year. Didn't throw one in the regular season, but that was returned for a touchdown, and it was the wind that gave him trouble. And now he's got this 30K gusting wind in his face in the 4th quarter. His team down by 1. 2nd and 10. Flag on the play. Charles Allery Tardif crossing the line of scrimmage. And it is offside against the defense.
Offside, 55 on the ball.
Allery Tardif was the player who blew up the punter who was in the end zone last week for Montreal and helped seal that Rouge. 2nd and 5 after the penalty. Griffin Campbell has 4, and he'll be short of the first down.
Half a yard, coach.
And you can see throughout the game there's been some concern with the deep ball with regards to Evan Hillock, so they're turning more to those shorter screen passes. You've seen it earlier on with Keon Edwards in the 3rd quarter, and now we're seeing a Griffin Campbell short bubble screen, but that Laval secondary is all over it.
Look at Anton Hay break up that block too. So it's 3rd and less than a yard. Edwards takes the handoff. First down on the 3rd down gamble. The gain of 5.
Hand it off to your OUA MVP. He'll get you 1 yard. He'll get you at least 1 yard. And that's what he did just right there.
I believe that's the 4th 3rd down gamble in this game by the Mustangs.
And you could tell they just don't want to give the ball back to Laval's offense. We've seen Laval's offense rolling.
Edwards takes the handoff, tries to go outside, cuts back inside, makes his own yardage, 7 yards on the play. before Charles-Andre Jacques makes the tackle at linebacker for Laval.
And like we've been saying all day, Keon Edwards, 126 yards on 23 carries, 0 touchdowns, but he creates his own opportunities.
Edwards with 9 touchdowns during the regular season, 3 in the playoffs, none today. Edwards again, takes a big hit. Poirier right in there, and there's a Laval player down on the field after that hellacious contact. So Edwards, some tough sledding.
And you can see they're all over the run. Poirier was right there, ready for his assignment, his one assignment, which is Keon Edwards, and he's able to stop him right in his tracks. The Rouge are doing a great job of stopping the run, which makes sense. They've only given up 87.4 yards per game, rushing yards per game all season. We mentioned before on the broadcast, if there's one team that's designed to stop the run, it's this Laval defense.
Jean-William Rouleau, the injured lineman for Laval, but he looks no worse for wear as he makes his way off the field. A big man at 6'2", 327. He's the anchor of that defensive line, which is rather light, with Quenneville at 237 on one end and Shihad at 236 on the other, facing this big offensive line for Western. Most of them all over 300, tipping the Toledos at 305, 305, 290. 3rd and 3 in a big gamble here at midfield. Edwards takes the handoff, and he'll be short. Edwards is stopped on that gamble, the 5th on 3rd down, and a turnover on downs.
What a play by the Laval front 7. Again, if there is any defense in the country that is designed to stop this Western rush attack, it is this Laval defense. Only 87.4 rushing yards allowed per game. And they've caught on. They've had a bit of trouble in the first and second quarter stopping the run, but they've caught on in the second half. Poirier is living up to the hype. He is doing an amazing job, and he's having the game of his career to stop this Western rush attack.
Still waiting for the official ruling here. They're going to measure. He needed 3, looked like he got 2, but now a good spot. It might be a yard short. Looking at it now as they move the ball to the sticks, Laval was certain. It is well short by a full yard, yes.
And that's a huge stop for this Laval defense. Huge stop.
At midfield, no less. So great field position for Constantine and his offense. Another look. He needed 3, he got 2.
And everyone is right there to meet him. Number 43, Jacques, is right there to meet him. Came back this week after missing last week and has been an impact player. He's been all over Keon Edwards today. He's missed a couple tackles on Edwards, but he did not miss that key tackle right there.
Impact, the key word there, as Charles-Andre Jacques forces a Western turnover on downs. 8:05 to go in this 4th quarter. Hillock on the bench. We talked about how he's known nothing but success. He has never lost in his football career now in 2 seasons. All the way to the Vanier Cup 1 year ago. Trailing by 1 here late in the game. How will he react to adversity and the response by Laval to get back into this football game after a disastrous first half?
And we're about to learn a lot about Evan Hillock in this final quarter, because it's clear that Laval has caught on to Keon Edwards in the run. It's clear, and it's going to have to be Evan Hillock stepping up, making those passes to move the chains if the Western Mustangs want to sniff the Vanier Cup.
Jake Kirk with the headset on, one of the offensive coaches who signals in the plays from the Western sideline from Gaetan Richard, the offensive coordinator who's up in the press box. You'll notice that Greg Marshall doesn't wear a headset. He never has, he says. He says, I don't want to have people in my ears. But when he wants something done, he'll go to Jake Kirk and relay that message up top to Gaetan Richard. So Hillock, Edwards stymied, and Laval takes over from their own 51. There's movement on the right side of that Laval offensive line. Samuel Quevillon and Antoine Dean Rios. It is procedure against Laval. 1st and 15 after the 5-yard penalty.
And it seemed like Muganda was in there at the Wildcat, ready to take that snap.
It's a diversified offense indeed. First down, 15 to go, Laval. Desjardins to Kevin Mattel. It's incomplete, in and out of his hands, and then he's tossed to the turf.
That's on the far side. Incomplete.
The rare Kevin Mattel drop. He was wide open, ran the 10-yard hook, had the ball in his hands, he dropped it.
Aaron Masakwa making the play, the Windsor native. But Mattel, who's been running his mouth, is not the feature of this football game as he was 1 week ago when he scored 3 second-half touchdown catches. 2nd and 15. 4-man rush. Western drops 8. Desjardins throwing deep for Antoine. And Frederick Antoine can't get there. Incomplete. And so for the first time in this second half, the Rouge AR offense stalls.
And Jackson Finley has done an amazing job this afternoon on coverage. He was all over Antoine on that play, forced him out to the sideline, and gave him no chance of catching that pass. He's done an amazing job this afternoon.
They've been trying to get matchups on Findlay all afternoon.
Don't worry about it, we got this.
Very confident Kevin Mattel after that drop. Vincent Blanchard to punt. Drops the snap, just gets it away. A near another disaster on special teams. Savon Magnier-Jones inside his 25. And he's hammered on the return. Charles-Antoine Beaulieu making the tackle for the Rouge AR.
Not the time to make a mistake on special teams.
Boy, oh boy.
Not the time. 6:55 left in the fourth. Not the time.
Long snaps have been a nightmare for Laval here today. Reminder, one of Canadian University sports' proudest traditions is returning to the CBC. Next week, don't miss our coverage of the 57th Vanier Cup from Alumni Stadium here at Western. Kickoff at 1 o'clock Eastern. Next Saturday right here on CBC. Deshaun and I will be in the broadcast booth once again. And there's Edwards stuffed. And again, it's Poirier, that 255-pound middle linebacker, sticking his nose in the play. No gain. 2nd and 10, Western.
Right now, we're seeing the best linebacker in the country take on the best running back in the country. And right now, the best linebacker is having the upper hand. Curious to see if Evan Hillock's going to throw the ball on this 2nd down.
Hillock into this wind that gusting up to 30 kilometers an hour. Pressure coming from Laval on 2nd and 10. Hillock with time. He'll try to get out of the pocket. Throws it to the sideline, wide open. Craig Coleman, the fullback, makes the catch in front of the Western bench. And it's a first down for the Mustangs.
Like you said it, they brought the pressure. The pocket broke down. Hillock left the pocket, extended the play, and found Coleman down the sideline to keep the play alive.
Edwards is down on the turf, back at the 20. Great scramble by Hillock. But Edwards down as they work on his left leg.
He has been carrying the load for all 4 quarters.
Looks like a cramp the way they're working his heel. Hillock continues to stay warm under this night sky in London. Balls are cold and slick. Another look at his improvisation.
And he drops back. He looks down the sideline. There's nothing there.
He wants Magnier-Jones to go deep. He stayed shallow on the crossing route.
Almost tripped over Keon Edwards' leg.
Edwards on the turf as he gets it away to the fullback, Coleman. You can see Hillock willing the ball. It is a first down in the gain of 11.
Now Yazbek's in the game.
Yazbek in the backfield. Edwards out. Hillock throwing to the sideline. It's incomplete. Griffin Campbell, the intended receiver, as he slips. Let's look at the awkward way Edwards went down. Left of frame here.
Yeah, you can see he puts his head down for a low block, and he just Yeah, he just collapses to the ground. Can't really tell what it was.
He's trying to cut block Charles-Antoine Beaulieu, number 41. 2nd and 10. Mustangs looking to the sideline for the call from Jake Kirk. See the call coming in. Some movement there to see what Laval was in defensively. Play action now for Hillock. Throws a howitzer down the middle. It's low, intended for Magne Jones and incomplete. And so Western will have to punt as Hillock continues to have trouble with this wind.
Like we said, this is one of the first times in Evan Hillock's career that he's faced true adversity. 4th quarter, chance to go to the Vanier Cup. You're down by 1. Your starting running back is out of the game, and you need to throw the ball to move the chains. We are learning a lot about Evan Hillock. He hasn't had the slickest passes today.
That came out like a mallard. Wind strong in his face, and now some snow beginning to fall. It's a short punt, and Dansero Leclerc will scoop it up and dance out of bounds at the Western bench with terrific field position for Laval at the 54-yard line. 4:48 to go, a 1-point ball game. Laval in front, and they have the ball. Evan Hillock on the Western sidelines with the tablet. These are his numbers. Just over 50% for 150 yards in that first touchdown pass in the opening quarter. But since then, he's struggled against the wind. This cold ball has affected his release, it appears. Many of his passes are not spirals. And into the wind, that really affects the flight of the football. So Laval takes over on offense at midfield, their own 54, first down. Oh, a bobbled snap. Desjardins gets it to Maganda. Maganda straight up the sideline, stepping out of bounds at the Western 42.
Again, another bobbled snap. Seems to be a theme in today's game. It's cold. It's cold, and it goes right through Arnaud Desjardins' hands, but gets it into the hands of Muganda, and Muganda finds a hole, beats McLeod up the sideline, and runs out of bounds. Turns something out of nothing.
It's hard to tell here, but their flurries now off and on, and they're sideways with this wind. At the back of the Rouge et Or, Arnaud Desjardins led the country with 73% completions, 20 touchdown passes. Hands off, Maganda slashing his way through the heart of that Western defense, and Finley finally drags him down with some help from Max Nixon, but Maganda is getting into the secondary.
Doing what he's been doing all day, breaks a few tackles. You saw Jackson Finley had a good grip on that ball, tried to rip it out, couldn't rip it out.
Another first down from the 29 now of Western. Maganda now 165 yards, almost 10 yards a carry. Maganda again gets the call. He gets a seam, and Max Nixon makes the tackle, filling in for the injured Brendan Murphy. So the gain is 5 for Maganda, who came out of that junior college program in California, the College of the Canyons, and expect to hear a lot from this running back over the next 4 years. He's a rookie, and he's been a star at every stop in his youth career.
Only had 38 carries this year, 242 yards, but we're seeing in this game that he is capable of more. Laval has a deep backfield. They were able to rush this year by committee, but Muganda is showing potential to stand out as a key running back for them going forth in the future and maybe holding in on that starting spot.
Glenn Constantine takes a timeout. 2nd and 5 from the 24 of Western. At the 3-minute warning here in the 4th quarter, it's a 1-point football game. Laval leading Western 21-20. Western jumped out to a big early lead on the touchdown catch by Magne Jones and the fumble recovery by Bowers Kane. Laval losing 2 of 3 first half fumbles, or except game fumbles, and then Laval blocking a couple of Western field goals to end the half to limit the bleeding, and then coming on strong with a pair of Dallaire 3rd and goal touchdowns and taking the lead on the Blanchard field goal. A chance now to go up by more. 2nd and 5 at the Western 24. And they hand to Magunda again. Magunda driving forward, and he'll be very close to a first down.
I'm not even surprised to see that. I'm not even surprised to see that. The vibe all day has been handed off to 23. He's going to give you at least 5 yards. Magunda has been the consistency in this offense today on a day where Kevin Mittal, the MVP of the RSCQ, has not had his best performance. Instead, it's been Mugunda stepping up and being the consistency for that offense, helping drive the chains.
They're going to measure. It's very close as they move inside the Western red zone. You can see the wind blowing hard at the back of the Rouge. This is going to be very close. It is a first down by the length of a football. Huge first down. Marshall with some concern etched on his face now with less than 3 minutes to go. Laval threatening.
With 2 minutes 51 seconds left in the game, pivotal moments right here. This could potentially be, depending on how long this drive is, this could be the last time Laval touches the ball in this football game. So pivotal moments right here. Laval looking to come away with 7 points on this drive.
1st and 10, Laval at the Western 19-yard line. Magunda takes the handoff from Desjardins. Magunda driving upfield and finally tackled by the safety, Daniel Valente Jr. Again, this power back cutting through the defensive line and getting into the secondary.
I said it before and I'll say it again. You know the vibes. Handed off to 23. He gonna give you at least 5. Kevin Magunda once again driving the ball, breaking tackles, and helping this team find the end zone, or at least get close to finding the end zone.
Western defensive line with just one returning player from last year's Vanier Cup. That's number 97, Malcolm Hines, in the middle. He missed most of training camp. They had to talk him into coming back. First down, carry, Magunda slashing upfield inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. Magunda continues to move the football towards the end zone and take time off the clock.
And at this point, Magunda is playing what I like to call hero ball. They are handing the ball off to him. He is confident in himself and his ability to find the hole and gain at least 5 yards and keep this drive alive. Kevin Magunda right now is playing hero ball and keeping the Laval Rouge alive in this football game and putting them in a great position to take the lead with now under 2 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter.
1st and goal from the 4. Desjardins hands off Magunda, a stutter step, and he is stuffed. Riley McLeod, the middle linebacker for Western, stops him in his tracks. It's the first time in this second half that he's faced that kind of opposition from the Western defense. And McLeod, the second-year man out of Hamilton, and second-team OUA All-Star with a big stop. No gain. 2nd and goal from the 4. 1:47 and counting left in regulation time. Laval has taken out an offensive lineman and added a receiver here. All kinds of movement. Arsenault moving to the wide side. Confusion and a timeout called by Laval. And that's their last timeout of the football game.
Mark, based on what happens in the closing moments of this drive with Laval, Evan Hillock is going to come back onto the field, and he is going to have the best drive of his career to keep this team's season alive.
A field goal keeps it a one-score game. If they score a touchdown, do they go for 2 and make it a 2-score game?
Based on what I'm seeing from Hillock, based on what I'm seeing from Keon Edwards, trust your defense. Trust your defense. There is no need to go for 2 in this situation. Trust your defense. Right now, it feels like that front 7 has figured out the run. It feels like that secondary is all over Hillock and all over those receivers. That defense has only limited Western to 3 points in this second half. If I'm Glenn Constantine, I'm trusting my defense.
Arnaud Desjardins comes back into the huddle after conferencing on the Laval sideline. 2nd and 4, 2nd and goal from the Western 4. Desjardins hands off, Muganda upfield. He'll be short. Max Nixon in on the tackle, downed at the 2-yard line. Now what do you do? 3rd and goal from the 2.
This is going to be an interesting choice of play call right here. Do you risk it? Go for 7? But even if you risk it and go for a touchdown, remember, field positioning.
Laval is sending out their field goal unit.
They're going to take the points. They're going to take the points and rely on their defense.
Already plotting the defense on the sideline. 1:26 to go, and Western has taken a timeout. And they have 1 timeout left, and they'll have to drive the field against the wind. There's Edwards, the man who has been the focal point of their offense all year. But coming from behind is not the way this team was built. Marshall talked about it so honestly yesterday when he said we're built to take the lead. We don't want to be throwing the ball. It killed us in the 2018 Vanier Cup against this very Laval team. 19-yard field goal attempt for Blanchard. Sorry, 9 yards for Blanchard. Ball up and good. And so it's a 4-point Laval lead with 1:20 to go in regulation time. Laval Rouge et Or battling their way back into this football game after an error-prone first half. Arnaud Desjardins favoring his passing hand. His favorite receiver, Kevin Mattal, has not been a featured player in the offense today. They've had to do it with Dallaire and with Muganda, with Menzies and Arsenault, moving the ball around to the supporting actors. Who moves on to face the Saskatchewan Huskies next Saturday here in London in the Vanier Cup? Huskies prevailing in a hard-fought battle with St. F.X. out east. The game that was tied into the fourth quarter, I believe, in that game. And now a 4-point game with the home team, Western, trying to drive and make it to the first London Vanier Cup ever.
And we got to give shout-outs to that St. FX program to be competitive in the national semifinal. Unbelievable. Shout-outs to them.
Blanchard puts the ball in the air. Magnay Jones at his own 5-yard line. Savon Magnay Jones is taken down shy of the 25-yard line. 24 is where Western will start. And a long field with 1:18 to go. 86 yards from the end zone into the wind.
This is the biggest drive of the season, and this might be the biggest drive of Evan Hillock's career, Keon Edwards' career. 1 minute, 15 seconds left.
Arnaud looking on. The game in the hands of his counterpoint, Hillock. The Mustangs have not been in this situation all year. Unbeaten this season, trying to come from behind in the final minute. Hillock, play action, will throw into the wind. Lots of time. 5 steamboats, 6 steamboats. Now he's going to run. Hillock forced out of bounds by Alec Poirier. Shy of the 30.
And
Poirier, a big man at 255, can still close on a quarterback.
And Evan Hillock was cautious in that situation, knowing the game is on the line and knowing some of the decisions that he's made today. He said, I'm going to hold on to the ball and scramble and see what I can do with this play.
2nd and 5. Western, their own 29. Hillock pumps, wants to go deep. It's incomplete and short to Magne Jones, making it 3rd and 5, and they're in 3-down territory. And Hillock continues to struggle against the wind.
Once again, an underthrown pass by Evan Hillock to a wide open receiver. That is a game-changing play. But listen, it's going to come down to this. Final play, potentially, of this drive. Can Evan Hillock keep it alive?
3rd and 5. Marshall looks at Jake Kirk to get the play call. It's down to this for the Mustangs. And a home Vanier Cup to stay alive. It's incomplete. Laval breaks it up with 1:01 to go.
What a play.
Griffin Campbell was the intended receiver, and Hillock couldn't get him the ball.
And on that play, Evan Hillock tried to force it to Griffin Campbell, who appeared to be in double coverage over the middle. Now, of course, going over the middle, that's Evan Hillock's comfort zone, but he also had Coleman wide open in the flats, which would have extended the play and this series.
So the Mustangs turn over the ball on downs at their own 29-yard line with 1:01 to play. And the look on the Western sideline says it all. Unbeaten this year. Facing defeat. Muganda takes the handoff, drives upfield for a gain of about 5 on the play. Jackson Finley making the tackle for Western.
And I'm not surprised to see that. Hand it out to Muganda, see if he can burn the clock. He's been a solid back for you all day, getting at least 5 on every single carry. Less than a minute left. Try to see what you can do to burn out this clock.
See Paul Gleason, the defensive coordinator, down on the sideline, signaling the play. They need a stop. 2nd and 5. There's Gleason, the defensive coordinator. It's Muganda again. And he's driving the lineman behind him in a scrum. He'll be very close to the 1st down.
They sent the blitz. They sent the blitz, but it was not enough to stop him in the backfield. He was still able to gain yardage on that play.
It'll be 3rd down and less than a yard. Timeout Western with 34 seconds to go. It was all going Greg Marshall's way in that first half. They score early on the 35-yard pass from Hillock to Magne Jones. They scoop up a fumble. Bowers Kane taking it into the end zone. They get another field goal off a turnover. It was 17-0. 17-4 at the half. And then Laval turned it around, holding the Mustangs to a field goal here in the second half.
Something we have not seen from the Western Mustangs in over 2 years. To limit this team to only 3 points in 1/2 is an amazing accomplishment for this defense.
28-yard attempt for Blanchard. .33 seconds on the clock. Blanchard up and good. So it's still a 1-score game. But now the Mustangs need a touchdown to tie.
And Evan Hillock and that offense are going to get one final opportunity to keep this game alive, keep their season alive.
Evan Hillock has never been in, Deshaun, Hillock's never been in this situation with this kind of pressure this late in the game, having to come from behind. I mean, he came from behind by 2 points at halftime in the Vanier last year. But now, his season on the line. 30 seconds to play. And Hillock will have to drive his team into the wind. They need a touchdown to tie. Edwards and Magne Jones are the deep men back to return for Western as Vincent Blanchard tees it up for Laval. And the wind knocks the ball off the tee. So the Western season on the line. The Rouge et Or looking for their first return to the Vanier Cup since 2018. Blanchard sends the ball deep. Magné Jones at his 5-yard line. Savon Magné Jones is tackled at the 25 with 25 seconds to go. The ground game's not going to help now. They need to go to the air, and they have to do it against a stiff wind. This was Marshall's nightmare yesterday, not wanting to have to come from behind to abandon that big run game and go to the air. But that's the situation they find themselves in with 25 seconds to play, and Glenn Constantine's Laval Rouge et Or with a 7-point lead. Poirier, the big man at middle linebacker, play action now. Hillock, flush from the pocket, fires a howitzer, and it's complete to Seth Robertson. He has a first down.
Still alive. Still alive.
There's an injured Rouge et Or player on the field with 18 seconds to go. Laval's going to give him the short stuff. And it's the big defensive tackle, Rouleau, who's down, clutching his right arm.
Give them the short passes, but the goal is to keep them in bounds. Keep them in bounds. Don't let them get out of bounds and stop that clock.
Hillock under the biggest pressure he's faced as a second-year quarterback, a young man who has never lost a football game at the helm of Greg Marshall's offense. Taking over in week 3 at halftime when they were down 7-0 to Laurier, leading them to victory, and he's been the man ever since. Jake Kirk, the play caller. Pressure all over the western sideline as the Rouge et Or begin to sense victory in this second half comeback. First and 10 from their own 40. 13 seconds and counting for Western. Short pass is complete to the fullback, Craig Coleman, but that's not going to do it. They need to move the ball downfield. But Laval dropping off in that prevent defense with 8 seconds to go.
Last stand.
This could be it. Final play. Hillock's got to go deep against the wind. Flush from the pocket again. Last play for Western. He's going to run with the football and go out of bounds with zeros on the clock. That's the ball game. Laval Rouge et Or come from behind on Western turf to upset the Mustangs 27-20. Evan Hillock loses for the first time in his football career. The Rouge et Or looked like they were gifting this game away in the first half with turnovers and botched snaps. Couple of block punts on the Mustangs kept them close. And in the second half, they took over, holding the Mustangs to a field goal and scoring 23 points themselves.
And the dream season for the Western Mustangs comes to an end. A season where they could have hosted the Vanier Cup comes to an end. The Laval Rouge et Or drove 12 hours from Quebec City, came to London, and defeated the Western Mustangs on their home turf. And Kevin Meitel said it last week, they packed for 10 days. They're going to be using those 10 days of packing for the Vanier Cup next week, and they're going to face the Saskatchewan Huskies.
Yeah, the Mustangs thought he was being cocky, but the confidence proved true. And the Rouge et Or destroy this first home Vanier Cup for Western with a 27-20 win. First loss of the season for Greg Marshall and the Mustangs, and this one hurts. Greg Marshall and Glenn Constantine, as we talked off the top, best friends and bitter rivals. As Glenn told me yesterday, we had a quick chat on the phone early, then it was all business. Desjardins the great completion percentage, finding his receivers, that great drive. Menzies, who would have thought Andrew Menzies would be the man to get them to the goal line, but he was the forgotten man, with Mittal not the feature on offense. And the handshakes are underway. It's a bitter pill to swallow for Hillock and the Mustangs. Glenn Constantine turning his team around at halftime. 3 great drives in that third quarter. And David Delard with 2 third-and-1 plunges for touchdowns to turn the tide. Two of the most impressive college football programs in the country, Deschamps.
You said it, game of the year. Game of the year.
Hillock is dazed. So here's the bracket. The Laval Rouge move on to face the Saskatchewan Huskies next Saturday right here in London in the Vanier Cup. The 57th Vanier Cup. Saskatchewan, another big passing team. Nias, some big yards again this year in his 5th and final year at quarterback for Saskatchewan. Desjardins will have to see the extent of that hand. It did look like his passing hand wasn't right. He didn't have the same velocity on his passes. You know, the Mustangs pretty well shut down Kevin Mittal here today, but it still wasn't enough. We talked about the versatility of the Laval offense.
Yeah, and I think Laval, next week going into the Vanier Cup, we're going to see what Muganda does. He stepped up and was a pivotal piece for them today, being the game's leading rusher and essentially leading them to a win. So I'm curious to see how that rushing attack leaks over into next week's matchup.
There was another bit player, Etienne Amiot, number 36, you just saw driving the ball to the goal line. I mean, he's number 3 on the fullback side of their depth chart. You know, we talked about Andrew Menzies, who made that big catch and got it to the 1. So it was the bit players, the guys who have not been in the limelight, who helped solve this Western defense and get Laval to the Vanier Cup. Glenn Constantine with his 201st victory as a coach, the most of any in U Sport history in football, defeating his good friend Greg Marshall here today in a second half rally. What do you think of the matchup next week?
I think we're going to see a game that might even trump what we saw tonight. Because if you look at the Saskatchewan Huskies, and you see right there Constantine and Greg Marshall, 2 best friends. Many people see them as bitter rivals, 2 of the greatest of all time, linking up right there in midfield. The Saskatchewan Huskies, Mason Nias is the country's leading passer. The quarterback matchup that we'll see next week will be historic. 2 of the best quarterbacks in the country going at it one-on-one. Mason Nias might be the Heck Crichton Award winner. And then that defense, scattered with so many great pieces. You talk about Charlie Ringland, you talk about Daniel Weeb or Nick Weeb. It's going to be a great matchup, and I'm curious to see, again, how the run game that Laval came with today leaks over into next week's matchup. So I think we might see a game that's set up to even be better than what we saw here tonight between Western and Laval.
That would be something else, wouldn't it? You know, getting back to that embrace by the 2 head coaches, Constantine and Marshall, you could see the friendship. Even Marshall could crack a smile because there's so much respect for the 2 of them. You know, and Constantine said, you know, he wants to beat me as much as I want to beat him, and I expect a great game. Then I will visit with my friend after. All right, it's time for the trophy presentation to the players of the game.
Thank you so much, all of you, for coming out today in such a cold day. In the name of U Sports, we'd like to congratulate both teams on a harsh played game.
Et maintenant, Julie Dionne est avec nous pour la remise de la nomination du joueur du match. Il a connu un excellent match, 17 plaqués. Alec Poirier.
Alec Poirier.
Julie Dionne, Director of Sports of Laval University, is here on stage with us to welcome the player of the game. 17 tackles today, Alec Poirier.
Oh yes.
Tu prends des photos.
Je prends des photos?
Just picture.
D'accord.
Donc, le joueur défensif du match. Alec, quel match en 2 temps. Dis-moi, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé dans la chambre à la mi-temps pour revenir aussi fort en deuxième?
Je te dirais qu'on savait qu'on pouvait gagner. Puis je trouve qu'on avait plus d'intensité qu'eux. C'est que là, on a capitalisé sur qu'est-ce qu'on faisait. Fait que ça a donné le score.
So, I asked him what happened in the locker room at the halftime, and he just told me we knew we could beat them. So we regrouped and we did what we had to do. I think Matthew will have a question.
Alec, dans un match comme ça, on se sent comment pendant les 3 heures que dure le match?
Ça passe vite. Ça passe très vite. À part les 3 dernières minutes. J'ai rien qu'une chose à dire. On s'en va au show. On s'en va au fucking show! Yeah!
So apparently, it seemed like it didn't last forever during this game, and except for the last 3 minutes, which seemed to be a lot longer for you. The rest, I'm not going to translate. I guess you guys got it. Et maintenant, on aimerait ça inviter sur le...
Notre joueur offensif, excusez, j'avais un problème de son. Il a aussi connu un excellent match. Maintenant, le joueur offensif, Muganda.
Je reste ici, là, moi. Là. Je descends.
Offensive player of the game. Number 23 from Laval, running back, Muganda.
Dis-moi, comment s'est passé le match pour toi? L'un de tes meilleurs matchs de la saison face à l'une des puissances au sol. Comment tu as vécu?
On a réussi avec un plan. Au niveau de la passe, au niveau du sol, on savait qu'on pouvait trouver avec le ballon contre eux, contre n'importe qui. Puis on est arrivé ici, puis on a fait un statement. Puis on a trouvé mieux qu'aujourd'hui.
So I asked him, how was this game? It was one of his best games in university career against one of the best team on the field. And he said, we had a plan, we knew we could beat them, and we played better than them today.
Kalenga, quand on arrive dans un match comme ça, on a un plan. À quel point vous avez suivi le plan, puis à quel point tu as l'impression que vous avez improvisé?
Mais c'est sûr que quand on commence avec un début un peu shaky, c'est sûr qu'on se dit toujours next drive, mais après, c'est les X et les O. Puis. On est arrivé ici avec un plan, on l'a exécuté à la merveille. Au début, on a eu un peu de problème, mais après ça, on a touché le plan de Juice, puis tout s'est bien passé.
So, according to Kalenga Mulanga, we just followed plan. We had a good plan coming in the game, and we just followed it till the end, and it worked.
Merci beaucoup. Notre joueur offensif du match, Kalenga Muganda. Et maintenant, en compagnie de Lizette Johnson-Stapley et de Steve Mitchell, on inviterait les capitaines de l'équipe du Rouge et Or à venir nous rejoindre pour recevoir la Coupe Mitchell.
So with Lizette Johnson-Stapley, and we'd like to invite all the captains to come on stage to receive the cup.
Nick, quand t'as embarqué, ça a levé.
Les champions de la Coupe Mitchell, le Rouge et Or de l'Université Laval.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Merci tout le monde. On vous laisse célébrer. De retour à Denis et Charles-Antoine pour le mot de la fin.
J-Will! J-Will!
On va la caille, là. On l'a cul.
The victorious Rouge hoist the Mitchell Cup in Western Territory in a second half comeback here tonight. Players of the game defensively, Alec Poirier with 17 tackles, taking on Keon Edwards toe-to-toe, and Kalenga Muganda, really the player of the game offensively with his running in that second half, and with Desjardins' hand looking like it was injured. He led them in a tremendous second half rally with 23 points while holding Western to just 3. So the Rouge move on to the Vanier Cup 1 week from today right here in London to face the Saskatchewan Huskies. For Deshaun Stevens and Victor Findlay, our producer Mike Brannigan and director Jim Marshall, I'm Mark Lee saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week at the Vanier Cup.